Take my ring off as well.
So Gary, good to see you again.
Yep, great to be back.
Been a little while.
Yeah, it certainly has.
October 2020, I believe.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's a while ago now, and obviously a lot's happened since then. So from my point of view, it's really just to have a look at what you can do for me, really.
Yeah, and the changes we made. How do you see the changes we made?
Well, the information that you gave me was very useful, particularly for the shafts at the time, but over a period of time, particularly now, later in life, you've got to be looking at what shafts are most going to maximise your potential. I mean, I was a ping player for many, many years, and so now, having moved away from that, I'm looking at what can maximise my potential. And I've been through probably 5 or 6 different sets of irons, and unfortunately I had one set which I was using last year, and somebody stole the wedge. And so subsequently...
And what model was that?
It was the hot metal Mizuno.
Yeah.
And couldn't get a replacement of the pitching wedge, and so I then had to look around, and I've now switched to the Strixon RX5s. And that's probably the best set of irons. ZX5, sorry, yeah, ZX5s. Yeah. And they're probably the best feel irons I've had. There's no clickiness or brittleness, which I'm finding with a lot of the modern irons these days. Clicky and very brittle feeling.
Yeah.
So you don't get a great deal of response.
Yeah,
now, of course, they're fairly hot heads. So that makes probably a difference with how they feel. A normal forged iron would probably feel much more solid.
I think where you were with the hot metals, the actual spec is a very similar spec in terms of loft.
Right.
They're what you would consider to be soft feeling performance irons with a fair bit of forgiveness.
Yeah.
They're the same territory.
And good looking as well. I mean, I quite like offset irons, having been a ping player for years and years. I mean, I used ping I2s for 12 years. They couldn't get me off them. And so subsequently I still quite like that slight offset, which, you know, I look at some of the sets that are out there and I'm thinking, oh gosh, you know, but having said that, I've used...
Board.
Yeah, so that's something I'm sort of...
Hence the reason for the hot metal as well.
Yeah,
just that little bit of offset,
yeah,
going, particularly into the long irons.
It just helps, you know, hitting particularly longer irons. I mean, for the first time now, I'm feeling really comfortable with the 5-iron. As an example, to the extent where I would even have a 4-iron in that set.
Yeah.
So the one thing I've then had a problem is then finding the hybrid 4 that I normally carry and the 5 wood or the 5 metal. It's then finding so that I don't have a gap, whereas I used to have a gap at 4 hybrid.
Yeah.
But I could manipulate the 4 hybrid into doing a lot of different things.
Yeah.
So it would actually go to 3 or to 6. I could actually manipulate the club really well. And interestingly, I then tried newer versions of the hybrid 4. I've still got the 913. I can't manipulate the new ones. They seem to fly straighter, and I can't make it
probably the spin element of it
possibly
has led to straighter flight. Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe the older model.
Whatever it is, I tell you now, I can't maneuver them like I used to with my old one, to the extent where I've still got the old one in the bag.
Yeah, I think my instinct would be that's a spin thing. You know, you can move it more with a slight change.
And possibly the weighting, maybe.
Yeah.
But I mean, these days everything is about hitting everything straighter.
Okay. And what shafts have we got in the irons?
Right, I've got the Zelos.
So Zelos 7, I know when you saw Simon, I think the recommendation was a Nippon 850. I've got your recommended spec up here.
Now that's what Strixon suggested for me. They're longer than standard, so subsequently. The other interesting thing is that these irons, for the first time, I've actually gone to 2 degrees flat. And I've never had flat irons, ever.
This is measuring 1 inch long, so is that where your spec's been?
It's always been that way.
Yeah? Okay. All right. So my gut feeling is, obviously the Strixon heads are only available in 1 head weight.
Right.
and you make it 1 inch longer,
Yeah.
the balance side of it will go up.
Yeah, the swing weight.
In terms of what we got here, I can imagine this being quite a hefty. So it's sort of D6 territory there.
Which is,
It's
I asked for
what you have to live with, 'cause there's only
D4, and I was quite happy with. I like the weight of the irons, to be honest. I've always enjoyed heavy heads because of the fact that I can feel exactly.
Yeah.
Clubs tend to get too light for my liking. I like to feel where the head is. I like to have that control.
Obviously, the mass
of
is
getting to
out the
top.
shaft
Yes.
itself.
Yes.
So it's just as a swing weight.
The one thing I was slightly not concerned about, but I was again wanted to ask your advice about, was the fact that with that particular shaft and the heavy head, is it going to be perhaps where the Pro V1X, which I was using, was stalling into the wind because of the higher flight?
Yeah, the Zelos itself is basically as responsive a steel shaft there is on the market.
Yeah.
The Zelos 7 at frequency is very soft compared to say the 850 that we discussed last time.
Yeah.
A little bit more stability in that tip stability. So yeah, it is a very, very responsive steel shaft this. So you're likely to see a little bit more flight, I'd imagine.
I need that because what I've found is that into greens I'm getting less spin. So subsequently, it has worked against me, particularly in the firmer conditions we've had this year, and the fact that we're playing a lot more links golf this year. Than actually getting the ball to land and check and get some control. I'm finding the ball's running out a little bit more, so I'm having to take that into consideration.
Where you've got a little bit of a double-edged sword there, we've mentioned about trying to find a stronger flight into the winds, but then to counter that, we want the control element.
And the launch,
so
to be
there
honest,
is the
as well.
middle ground, really.
Yeah. It is. It's the old thing of 2 pint pots. You've got.
Where's your priority?
Yeah, exactly. Which is the priority? And at the end of the day, I think it's about the control. But obviously, I'm not getting any younger. I'm now 62. So subsequently, you're
looking good for it.
Oh, I almost had to prompt that. But the fact is, the feel of those heads is great. They seem to be easy to use. They do fly further. My loft is worked from my lob wedge, which is 55 degrees up, and I use 4-degree increments. Right. So they are a little bit stronger.
Let's see, I'm just going to measure that.
Yeah.
If you can just hit a few loose
I will.
ones, grab whatever you want,
I'll need
just
a
to
bit
get
more
moving. Yeah, do your process,
Yeah.
and I'll just get a feel for this spec. Yeah?
Perfect. Everything clicks these days, unfortunately.
As long as the ball still clicks.
Oh, well, I have my moments. This season's been a bit tricky because for the very reason that we've been talking about, we're playing a lot of links and very firm fairways and greens. And so it's been a lot more difficult to sort of make the impact this season. I had a 6th place at the beginning of the season. Conditions were very wet, so it actually suited me. And I've just had a 12th place in France, but in between, poor really. Not to my standard anyway. I haven't done badly, but I haven't done well enough. And unfortunately, the bias on points for our system of qualification for next year is very biased to top. So the top 5, 10 get much better points.
Yeah.
And the 2 4-rounders, I've missed qualifying by 1 shot. So again, frustrating really, and not through having necessarily
just
played
as
badly.
a matter of interest, when you mentioned the firm conditions, you played well in the softer conditions.
Yeah.
When you were in the firmer conditions, how did you find this sole design?
Fine. It wasn't. It's funny. I'm one of these quirky guys that tends to fit the clubs, not the clubs fitting me. So subsequently, I had no problem with that sole at all, actually. I didn't really notice a problem. But the coaching that I'm having has obviously led a little bit to me hitting more down on the ball for the irons. And so actually, I'm more of a sweeper
You've been traditionally a
Yeah,
sweeper, yeah.
absolutely. So hence why I tended to lean towards fairway woods and hybrids. But actually, these irons have been fantastic to the extent where, as I say, the 5-iron's one of my favourite clubs in the bag.
No, it's just, you just often, if you get to the firmer conditions and if you've got a fair bit of bounce on the sole of the club, you know, whether that was getting in the way of you a little bit or you felt like you had
No,
you
I
actually
can't
got
say
good,
that
good
it,
interaction with the turf.
it
even in the
didn't
firmer
really
conditions.
hurt me at all.
Good, good.
So, as I say, actually, with the irons, generally speaking, I've been really pleased. The only problem is that, for instance, in France, there was a couple of times where I'm having to pitch the ball barely on the front of the green to keep it on the green.
Yeah, it's pressurised golf.
So it means I'm very specific. It means my short game's obviously got to be very good as well, because if I miss, for whatever reason, slightly either way, or flush something, it cannot get that sort of control, which I've sort of had in the past. Now, I don't know whether it's to do with the grooves or just the face itself. I'm not sure which.
That combination.
It's quite a
of
hot
the
face,
spec.
I think.
Yeah, it's a reasonably hot face on the ZX5. Base loft to 27 degrees here. This is what we've got here.
Right.
So
That's
sure
for the
enough.
6-iron.
Yeah, 27 degrees on this. Playing flatter in the ballpark area of 2 degrees flat, as you said.
Now, I must admit, when I was with Ping, I had either 3 or 2 degrees upright.
Yeah.
So again, whether I've changed,
And that was at the 1 inch long still?
and 1 inch long, yeah. So I was white colour code. Virtually in my entire career, to the extent where I must admit I did notice with the shorter iron, 9-iron, 8-iron, that there was a tendency to go left, pitching wedge, which they tended to go left, and the utility irons, wedges rather, that I sort of got fitted for, they were flatter. So actually I didn't get that twist left.
Two things come to mind there. The way Ping used to make their clubs, what they would say was 2 degree upright, or so let's say a white colour code or a green colour code. Yeah. In the old days, it would be respective of length. So if you make a club longer, the actual lie angle on the longer club wouldn't be as upright as it would be at a standard length.
Right.
Now, what they've done nowadays, Ping, is fallen more in line with all the other mainstream manufacturers, that the 2 degrees is irrespective of length.
Yes.
So therefore, if you make it longer, the actual lie becomes effectively more upright again.
Say 4 degrees.
Whereas the old days, although they fitted you into what they said was quite an upright lie, with that 1 inch long, if you measured that lie, it wouldn't be as upright.
Oh, right. That's
it would actually be nearer to a standard lie, in fact.
Right.
So the change isn't as much, I would say, if you...
Well, it seemed a big
hypothetical,
change.
so
I
we
mean,
haven't got a club
certainly
to
looking
change,
at the
but-
clubs on the ground, it looked really flat. But in actual fact, then the coaching I was having at that time, it probably implied that I was leaving the club face open at address, and that was compensating for the upright lie, perhaps. And that would maybe explain where perhaps my irons weren't quite as strong through the air. So subsequently, when I got... I did do a fitting, must have been 2 years ago, or a year or 2 years ago, because Mizuno came up to the golf club and they did a sort of a fitting day. And he said, you probably don't need upright. And to the extent where, as you're suggesting, perhaps flatter lie would have been better, because I was saying I was 2 degrees upright. And actually, I looked at the clubs and I thought, oh, this feels weird. But in actual fact, once I got used to it, it worked very well.
But what we haven't mentioned is potential technique change.
Well, that's that too.
If you're laying the shaft down a little bit more, if you're trying to cover it a little bit more, you're laying the shaft down, then it's obviously it's going to have, I say, excuse the pun, have an impact on the lie that you're creating an impact. So, just go through your process.
Okay.
I don't want you...
well, normally
having an injury at this early stage.
No, don't worry. Just warm up a little bit. It doesn't really matter what ball to start with. The big problem I always had, and one of the things that, because I was self-taught up until probably 32 properly, I got proper coaching from sort of 32 onwards. And then all of a sudden, we were working on not getting off my right side. So I was quite. I used to hit it very straight. I used to keep the club face very square to target for quite a long period of time. Now, that's a compensatory process. Now I'm trying to get off my right side much more and make more of an impact into the back of the ball, which certainly has made a difference. It's allowed me to stay competitive for longer.
Getting a little bit more out of it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
okay.
You'll probably notice a few slightly idiosyncratic moves, but that's just me. One thing that I've found, particularly over the last year or so, is that I'm catching the ball a little bit thin, and that's my weakness at the moment. That's my bad shot, the thinny one. Yeah. So I'm trying to work on taking the club head more slightly outside what feels to be outside. It's actually straight back.
Yeah.
And then try and make sure that I keep my eye on the ball, not come up and out of it too soon. So then when I do that, I actually find that the ball will go a lot further.
What we'll do initially, once you've had your warm-up, we're going to get some 6-iron numbers to see where the performance is and have that discussion of flight as well.
But just a couple more, and then that should just about do it. A bit like a Rolls Royce, don't take much warming up. Okay, I'm not going to do a lot more than that.
No, that's fine. That's fine. So, what has been the ball you've been using then?
Right,
I know you've been meddling a bit with Twin X and Standard.
I used to be a Pro V1X user for years.
Yeah.
And then I thought, well, I'm going to try the Pro V1.
Yeah.
The new Pro V1 seems to be an awful lot better ball. Yeah. It flies slightly higher than the old one. I mean, I've got some old ones and they just don't go at all in comparison. So I think the new one's a lot better. It seems to be a lot better ball. It's obviously a little bit softer, so round the greens. But it doesn't spin as much around the greens.
The X.
It's funny, it wasn't something I really worried about at all. I wasn't worried about that at all. And then now, having got into using the Pro V1, I appreciate that it's a little bit softer.
Okay.
The thing about it is, it's who's going to be able to provide you with golf balls, because they're expensive. And Titleist are prepared to do that with me. So whether it's the right ball or not is down to I've picked what I feel is the best ball for me at the moment.
I think what this process is a combination of seeing the performance of your current irons. That's where we're going to start.
Okay.
We're going to use Pro V1, I reckon.
Yeah.
Just as a benchmark.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what I'm going to do is just introduce something that I've got lined up for us here.
Oh, yes, sorry, I was...
That's all right. No, it was there for warm-up purposes anyway. So, here we
Brilliant. Go. You've obviously been working very hard, getting all the dots on and sorting the balls out.
Well, these are the RT versions.
Oh, very good.
This is the one that the radar sees.
Yeah.
Just a couple of pointers.
Yes.
So we obviously need to know where we're aiming. I've set the TrackMan up with the white alignment stick you've got on the floor. If you can hit somewhere halfway down the mat line, pretty much direct behind the white rod. I think if you want to focus on something in the distance, although it's been slightly obscured by the flight pattern there's that monument between the two buildings.
Yes.
That's a pretty good focus for you.
Yes, the Russocks and the
Let's get maybe half a dozen shots going with the 6-iron. And
perfect.
And then we go.
Yeah, perfect.
Just 1 second, Gary.
Okay, no problem.
My mouse works.
I find all this fascinating. I love computerised. I love information. Absolutely love it. So hence why I was so keen to come back down. Because there isn't anywhere else quite like this that I know of anyway.
Well, we like to pride ourselves in what we do.
But it's just the information that you can provide. There's so much. Now, it can be bewildering, but in actual fact, over the years of obviously having been with the English Golf Union for years and years, and then obviously with the professional side of things, the stuff that I've learned from that information is like, it's what I like. I like attention to detail.
You're an info man.
I love information, yeah. All right, let's just hit a few.
That's a really nice neutral move there, Gary.
Good. That's what we like. We like to keep the
Nice,
coach happy.
Yeah, lovely efficiency.
No, you spoke too soon.
Be careful, because
yeah,
you're going to start grabbing other ball
don't
types
worry.
there.
Yes, I was aware of that.
Yeah, so, yeah, that was an AVX, so one of those numbers was a little bit low, so.
Or you can cancel that, and that's a good thing.
Steady stuff.
Doesn't change a lot, really. Not when I'm playing well.
A little bit of a miss there, but a couple more for me.
Okay. If I could only generate that speed.
Nice, okay. Right, let's have a little look at these numbers.
Okay.
So I'm going to bring up all these represent the averages.
Yeah.
Okay, across those shots. I took out that weird and wonderful
Yeah,
one.
yes, quite right.
Okay,
Well done.
So,
You can take any others out you like as well.
yeah, strike point, obviously. I don't expect anything else.
No. Oh, okay.
Accomplished player. What I do detect is this discussion of flight. Pretty low on the spin. Angle attack, I know what you're working on.
Yeah.
Relatively shallow. It's a
Yeah.
draw move, so in other words, the path 4 degrees from the inside, the positive number, meaning it is from the inside. And this is a face the path number, so the general maths is if that's half that number, it's in a good place, because it ultimately means that as an average, you're on target line.
Yeah. Okay, that's good.
The efficiency side is obviously very, very good. 145 smash overall
Yeah.
for a 6-iron, although albeit a modern 6-iron with a strong loft.
Yeah.
The only thing I will say is that it's just as a spin, you've got a healthy launch with that lower spin, so you could almost say that it is efficient
Yes.
in that it's got the launch,
Yeah.
but off that, what is a strong spin number.
Yeah.
And that's, for me, the nature of the beast, really. It's the nature of the ZX5.
It's the way the way things are going. That's
Yeah.
right, with modern equipment these days. Absolutely.
Yeah. I'll tell you what would be an interesting thing for me is just maybe not have to hit as many, but just get a few with the Pro V1X.
Okay. Yeah.
Just
Absolutely.
Only because it's just, for me, while we've got a discussion of the golf ball,
Yeah.
we can sort of see what it's doing in terms of flight, yeah?
Okay. Yeah. Absolutely. And that's exactly the sort of information I need, because it makes a big difference to the equipment as well. Okay. Same club again.
Yeah. That would confuse me.
Right. Don't worry, I'm easily
But
confused.
stick with those two balls.
Those two
yeah?
balls. Okay.
Oh, sorry. With the balls that I'm about to introduce.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm going to dot these up, in fact, because albeit brand new, but without the RT. But so keep the silver dot towards the top there.
Yeah. Okay. No problem. Something to look at, because where I mark my ball is I always have spots on the ball. I cover the ball with it. So I used to use the old patterned balls that were available for me. But there was a guy, he invented it, and I was actually their longest ever user of the pattern ball.
From Callaway?
No, it was just a guy who, he actually sold it to, or it was sold to Callaway.
Yeah.
But I used that for a long time. So me looking at a spot on a ball is actually quite handy.
Yeah, yeah. Significant change on spin.
Really?
Yeah, probably 500 to 600 revs.
Wow.
Yeah.
That makes a massive difference.
Similar ball speed, obviously. If you take that shot there, 18 and a half launch, 4.8, getting towards 4.9 on the spin, where your average here at 4.2, similar sort of launch angle, to be fair. But there is definitely a hotter flight with a standard Pro V1.
Right. Now, hotter better or hotter worse?
Condition based.
Now, this is exactly, to a certain extent, what I was thinking.
You shouldn't be tied into one ball. What I would suggest you know, when you talk about where you're a little bit under pressure, firm conditions, for me, the X.
Right.
Softer conditions.
That's interesting.
That I see it.
So softer turf. So, you know, for instance, we're going to play at La Manga in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
You know, Seychelles and Mauritius.
Yeah.
The greens are softer. The conditions, the ball, you know, probably needs to carry a little bit further.
Yeah.
Each time.
In terms of sheer efficiency, in finding a carry, I see the standard Pro V1 just nicking a little bit for you.
Yeah.
Whereas the X, with that extra spin content, when things are firmer, you've
Would
got
be
that
better.
extra spin.
Okay.
So I would say it's condition based.
Well, I've got both, and I've got the option of using both. So,
Yeah.
In some respects, why didn't I see sooner? Because that would have helped.
But there is
Perhaps
a
with other-
significant change there. Ballpark of 500-600 revs, and that's significant. That is significant. Yeah.
Wow.
Now, here's another one. Any given day, blowing a hoolie,
Yeah.
Pro V1.
Yeah. Which
So-
is sort of what I
You've
did
worked out for
feel.
yourself
well,
anyway, yeah.
I played in Portugal on the North Course at La Quinta, and there was one particular par 3. It wasn't a particularly long hole. It was only 140 odd yards, but it was into the breeze and hit 8 iron, which I was comfortably getting. You know, it's 147, I think, and I was comfortably able to get there on other holes. But into the wind, it stalled, came up short, finished up taking double.
Yeah.
It was very expensive.
Yeah.
And I feel that perhaps with the Pro V1, it would have easily got that. Well, relatively speaking,
Yeah,
it would have got there. That extra couple of yards would have made a big difference.
That's the difference, really.
So that's interesting that you've said that.
You've got to take on board the conditions. The ground conditions is one, wind conditions another,
Yeah.
and then you really assess it.
Even downwind.
You see what the priority. Yeah.
Yeah, I can always create greater height. It doesn't necessarily help with regards overall distance, but if I do downwind, if I need to hit the ball slightly higher, I can do it.
Yeah.
So subsequently, but it's interesting because I sort of come to that conclusion. I only wanted to say that now that you've actually suggested it yourself. But that's sort of been in the back of my mind. Now you've corroborated that. I'm now thinking, yeah, actually, that makes a lot of sense. Because I don't mind using the harder ball around the greens.
No, that's
doesn't
fine.
make any
I mean,
difference.
that's fine. A lot of people are very,
And they're good
very
ball.
conscious. Yeah,
They are a good ball.
Well, you know, in
They've
terms
both
of
improved.
sheer production and quality.
Yeah.
There's
Well,
no
they're
one
round.
better. There's no one better.
No.
There's some good ones out there, but
There's
no one better. So.
I mean, it's interesting because we were in France and they used the Strixon ball for the practice, and they had Z-Stars and XVs. And the XV flew higher but didn't feel as good, and to be honest, I felt that the Z-Star was a better ball for me.
Good all-rounder.
Yeah.
Good all-rounder. You know, mid-spin, mid-fly.
Now, years and years ago,
Nice feel.
I had a spell where I was using Strixon Z-Star, and the only club that it hurt me was the driver, because obviously I had a driver that spun too much.
Yeah.
But with my old ball, the Pro V1X, it was fine, funnily enough. And then I switched to the XV, and in the end, it sort of petered out the idea. And then I switched back to Titleist again. And funnily enough, the longest I've ever been, I feel, is when I had the R11 TaylorMade driver
Yep.
and the TP Red Golf ball, which they then made defunct. I
Yeah.
think they called it something else.
Yeah.
was-
There's been a fair few changes through that range over the last.
But that
sort
was
of
probably
half
the
a
longest
dozen,
I've ever
8
been.
years.
And the longer I am, the better I perform, generally speaking, because then par fives come into range better, and
Your
long par fours, I'm hitting maybe a club less.
Yeah.
And that's where I've switched to the TSI 3 driver, and I feel as though that's longer, particularly into the wind.
Yeah, controlling spin probably.
And I can still hit
Yeah.
it off the deck, which is quite a useful
We'll look at that
attribute.
side of it.
But anyway, so
things in a
that's
little
very
bit.
useful,
Yeah.
thank you.
So the ball side, I think we've learnt a little bit there.
Yeah,
In terms of your numbers, like I said, it's good, efficient performance. You get a significant increase in spin with the Pro V1X. Brings it a little bit more to what I see as a mid-flight type of performance,
right.
where it's a little bit hotter with the Pro V1.
And hotter's lower, or
No, the launch is there.
about the
The
same.
launch is there. It's just with
Doesn't
that
spin as
stronger
much.
spin, which then
The good thing
it's
is
what
from
you
now
can afford
on-
with the ground conditions.
yeah,
So,
it looks as though from now on we're going to be playing slightly softer greens, which actually is what it would help that ball, and that's maybe where I'm sort of looking. And obviously with the wedges, the performance wedges, because obviously I carry 4 now, which I never thought I'd ever do, but I carry 4
including
wedges
the
now,
pitch.
including the pitch width.
Yeah.
I feel that the Pro V1 actually still performs pretty good, so it still spins as I need to, and gives me actually a pretty good trajectory as well. So I quite favour the Pro V1, but you're right, I think maybe if it's slightly firmer fairways and greens, the Pro V1X might be actually a better. And
Yeah, I think you've got to weigh up. I mean, if it is windy, it's an assessment of what you think is priority.
you see, it's interesting. People say, "Oh, you shouldn't switch and change," but actually, sometimes you need to do that, just because.
That's the purpose of practice rounds as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Great. Okay.
All right.
So, what's next?
So, well, I think it's more, do we want to explore other avenues in irons? So,
Well, interestingly, somebody brought up a very good subject, which is what happens if I lost my clubs? I actually haven't got any replacements apart from a set of very old pings with graphite. So I would have something to play with, but
backup.
But that's basically it. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that those can't become the backup, and I get something that might be that much better. I did have hot metal Mizunos.
I've got the new version here,
Right.
and in my days off. I wasn't even aware that we were going to have these, but we do. So, got the high launch version, a little bit chunkier. If you want to see on the
I'd
main
like to see
camera
what
here.
they look like on.
It's online, but doesn't. Anyway, so just showing on the screen here, a little bit higher there. So here we've got the standard hot metal and the high launch version, where you can see a little bit more width in the sole, a little bit lower centre gravity as a result of that. So
I must admit, the only problem I have sometimes with the wider sole is when you put them down on the ground, the longer irons, you can actually see the back of the club.
something you don't like.
I'm not a great fan of that.
What's your current 4-iron?
It's not. I don't have a 4-iron. The 5-iron is the
5-iron's
longest iron.
Yeah, it's the reason, because the ZX5, it was always the first club and the last club, because it didn't make a 3-iron to it.
Yeah.
Where you see a little bit of the back edge on the 4.
Yeah, maybe the 4. I would definitely agree with that.
5 never. You never
To the extent, actually, funnily enough, hitting that 5-iron, it's my favourite club in the bag, and I've never ever said that before.
Yeah.
Normally the 8-iron is my favourite club in the bag, but
I take it should be. I'd like to think here. I was going to say the stiff that it says on the shaft.
Yeah.
It frequencies very much on the soft side. So
absolutely.
the regular is
and with longer
very,
as well.
very soft. So, okay. Well, let's build something. Let's use. What was the up-to-date version of what you had?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll measure the loft just to get me a feeling for where that is.
Yes, absolutely.
And then we know where we stand.
And then it makes a comparison, absolutely.
Yeah. That's going to be interesting. I haven't got anything long in this.
I mean, certainly as far as nip-on shafts, I'm quite happy to try the 850 again.
I feel that.
I don't know why they put that in that club, because that's not what I thought I was going to get.
The only, for me, my gut feeling is what you're going to feel is stability.
Yeah.
I don't feel it's going to be difficult to use.
No.
And it is that element of feels a bit tighter. Yeah?
So would it go down the regular 850, or would it be stiff 850?
In frequency terms, it could well be a reg.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we'll
That's
try.
sort of what I had before.
Let's try the stiff just to see what it feels like.
Good.
Now, what you have to bear in mind is this isn't quite as long as yours.
No.
We don't get many tall people fit in 1 inch
My
long.
fingertip to floor isn't that. That's the thing. That's the difference. I'm not hugely tall. I mean, I'm just a smidgen short of 6'3", so. But it's the fingertip to floor. That's where I've got short arms.
Very, very similar in balance to your current club.
Good. Okay.
Albeit a little bit shorter in length.
Yeah.
Okay. There is, interestingly, that version there is actually a lightweight version, although it's the pro version.
Yeah.
We can use that as a benefit of a field change there.
The one thing that I do tend to find is that very often I'm going slightly down the shaft on a lot of the clubs. I feel sometimes I get a sort of a more positive strike from going down the shaft a fraction. The beauty of having an inch longer, it allows me to do that. Whereas I tend to feel that when I get given a club shorter, I get grip right on the end of the shaft.
Just for the purpose of the exercise, though, we'll grip it more towards the end.
Yeah.
This is a little bit more of a match of what Simon did, actually, to be fair.
Perfect. Okay, let's go with it. With the Pro V1 or the X?
We're going to use, I think I would rather, as a comparison, I've got most of my numbers with the Pro V1.
Yeah, sure.
So it's a comparison spin with the ones we got the majority of information with. Sure. Just bear with me here while I set up a new a new tag for us.
It's the only problem with technology. You've got to become a sort of keyboard specialist.
And that's not me.
No, it's not me either. I can absolutely affirm that.
There's a gremlin here.
So this is the stiff shafted one. Okay.
Yeah, just give you I just want to see what you make of the feel of it.
And
You know,
what
the numbers
lie is
speak.
this? What lie is this?
That's a Mizuno standard lie, around about 61.
Yeah.
Yeah?
So in comparison to mine, what's this?
A little bit more upright.
Yeah. Because actually, I like the look of it better. I do find the flat lie. I look at it and I think, well, I'm having to turn the club face in.
Yeah, we'll assess that somewhere on the way here anyway.
It was just intriguing, that was all. I was just wondering whether the 2 degrees flat was right.
Do you remember any part of the discussion? Was it about a direction?
No, it was literally done through the computer, looking at it and saying, you know, the club face is now square to the ground as the impact.
Yeah.
And that was why.
In terms of your shaft plane, your dynamic lie is on the flatter side.
That's interesting.
Looking at your numbers, yeah.
Okay. Now I tend, having chatted, my swing gets a little bit stiff, so don't be surprised if the figures are slightly down.
I'll try and keep you going with the flow. Yeah, that's less ideal than the ZX5 on face value. A little bit lower spin again.
So it needs a slightly softer shaft, perhaps?
We'll just hit a couple more,
Okay.
and then we'll pop something else in. We'll put the regular in. Let me grab that.
This definitely feels slightly clickier than mine.
Slightly
clickier. Slightly
as
harder face, yeah.
Yeah.
Interestingly.
I mean, you picked up. That's the bottom line here. Is
Ball speed.
when
I love ball speed.
Yeah, ball speed is a similar territory to your ZX5.
Yeah.
To be fair, where that's picked up the number is it's much lower as a result of that stronger spin.
Yeah.
You'll look at that and go, love that. But then when you get to those firmer conditions, you will not like that.
No.
Because that's way too low. So
Right.
I would say it's not a change of ball speed. That's the same territory.
Yes, it is exactly the same.
It's just a hotter flight again.
Yeah.
ZX5 wins.
Which is actually what these are designed to do, of course.
Yeah. I'm just trying to find an 850 stiff. I can try and remember if we had an 850 and a longer one for you, Gary.
Even if it's half an inch longer, it would maybe make
Yeah,
a difference.
yeah, most.
So you don't think that regular would be the option?
I'm gonna give you. I'm going to switch. I'm going to try and introduce something similar to the weight of the Zelos.
Okay.
but with a little, what I see is a little bit more stability. Yeah.
It was interesting because I did a fitting about a year and a bit ago with the Exio, and they had a Nippon 920, was it, or was it 820? Maybe 820, which was very specific to that brand.
Yeah. It's an
And
exclusive.
I've never seen that option before, but it was very specific to the Exio brand, and they were very good irons as well. But I've never seen them for sale anywhere.
Well, what I want to do, I want to try you out on that.
Which is graphite or
Composite.
composite?
Basically,
Right.
combination steel, graphite.
Hey, I'm up for anything.
Only because the stability side at the same weight as yours is, you'll feel you got a little bit more on your side in stability there. So,
Okay, good. Let's go with it. The
and
irons
then
stay on the right.
I'm just wondering what head to use for it, because obviously ZX5s are now gone. They're no longer on display, so I'm thinking of a head that would give us an impression.
Oh, that's true. Yes, they've stopped making them, haven't they?
Yeah, they ran out.
That's
They ran
gutting.
out now. So let me just. For the purpose of the exercise, I've got a Titleist T300. Here.
Okay. Yeah.
It's your deep cavity,
Yes, yeah.
whatever, but
So the Mizunos aren't doing that similar sort of thing.
I think this is naturally a head that would give us a little bit better spin anyway.
Okay.
So, and it's also a similar base loft.
Yeah.
To where yours are. That's playing at 38. So
Okay.
it's half inch longer than standard.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's a nice comparison to what you've currently got.
Okay.
Yeah.
I tried the Titleist T200s, but they felt incredibly clicky.
Right. Okay. Yeah. It's a really good head. It's just one that it becomes a little bit subjective when the feel.
It's a nice looking head.
Yeah,
pretty.
it's a game improvement head.
Don't keep saying that.
No, what I'm saying is it's not like a forged body like your ZX5s.
No.
But I think for the purposes of what I know from that model, I think it's a nice head to do some shaft testing with.
It definitely feels lighter than the one I've just tried anyway.
Yeah, the balance point's higher up on it. Obviously, the change of length makes it swing a little bit lighter as well.
Gone pink. That feels good, I have to say.
Yeah. It's a good feeling shaft, isn't it? Yeah.
Really good.
What I would say the difference for me...
It feels
is
easy.
The balance feels a little bit lighter in that club.
Yeah.
That's partly the length change, right? We have to take that on board.
Yes.
But the balance point of the shaft, any steel shaft, is always going to have a like-for-like weight.
Yes.
The steel shafts are always going to have a lower balance point than the composites.
Yeah.
Now, this is sort of composite. When I say composite, this is actually a combination of steel and graphite. It's quite an interesting shaft, and I'm sure you've come across guys using that in various weights.
Can't say I've ever seen anybody
It was a
using
bit
it.
of a sleeper for a good 10 years or so. When the likes of Matt Kuchar and Snedeker started using it in a 95 gram, and Mr. Watson used it to great success, and Colin Monty, we got him through a little bit of an injury spell with an ankle. Simon fitted him into the 95 and ended up winning twice in the States.
Oh, wow.
This is obviously the same sort of weight territory as your Zelos, but I think for me, what that gives you is that little bit more, slightly more solid feel, a little bit more stability there. Yeah.
Yeah. And would this, having had longer than standard clubs, would you go to an inch or would you stick with the half inch?
Like to rein you in a hair.
Yeah.
Just a hair, yeah?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Just to get that swinging the way that is now, if that feels good.
Yeah, it feels fine. Oh, that's a short swing.
Yeah, you
Didn't enjoy that. That wasn't the greatest either.
I think more from this head, what this head is doing, just so that we know where we stand, this head launches a little bit higher compared to the ZX5.
Okay.
That's an interesting number.
I hit that lovely.
Yeah. Yeah.
That
Ball
was...
speed in a really nice place there. If you want to have a look at this number, I think it's quite an interesting number.
I've gone up and...
We know where the spin was with the Pro V1 on your head, around about that 4.2 mark, which we know is quite a strong spin. Yeah.
Long triangle slightly higher.
Quite
and
a
more
nice
ball speed.
A little bit more ball speed off of a higher launch.
Yeah.
So the way you see that flight, you have to bear in mind that's a combination of that head and that shaft. We're launching it essentially a degree higher off the same spin. So when you would add that, when we had that discussion on the golf ball,
the Pro V1 would then fit in with that much better.
You got it. Because the initial launch is higher, it just makes it, what I see, is a bit more efficient. If it's reaching a little bit more height, then as the ball loses momentum, even on that stronger spin number, it's more of a drop and stop type of performance. Yeah. But that's
as long as you carry it. Now, I'm just interested with the impact point. This is a standard lie, as in.
That's a hair more upright again, actually.
Right.
Yeah.
So by making it slightly flatter,
I think you're seeing a bit more shape as well.
It would move more this way. If it was flatter?
No, not really, no.
Well, surely that's the way that it would work, because the impact point would be slightly more this way. I'm talking millimetres here.
Yeah.
If you make it 1 degree flatter, then surely that's got to move that way slightly.
Strike point gets more upright. You're introducing more this, aren't you?
Yeah. So it turns over. So if it's impacting at the heel, it's going to impact more towards the toe. Has to.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm saying if you make it flatter, it's got to move it slightly more to the crosshair.
I don't quite see it like that.
Really?
No.
I would have thought that would have been...
No.
So it wouldn't make any difference?
If you've got a very upright club,
that
toe end becomes irrelevant, doesn't it?
Well, only from the point of view that as it turns in, you become more out of the toe, surely, with the strike point.
If you what, sorry?
If you make it more upright and it catches the ground, the heel catches the ground, and we're talking about minute margins.
We're basing on ball strike. We strike the ball first. We don't strike the ground first, do we?
No, I understand that.
So
at impact...
Yes, if you hit ground first, then...
But at impact, the toe is up in the air.
Yeah.
So subsequently, surely, it's going to impact the ball with more towards the toe rather than the heel. No? No. That's interesting.
For me, what
so
you're
all I'm saying is that with everyone having told me...
the strike point closer without going on this, but if the toe is down, you're encouraging more strike. That point is closer to the ground, isn't it? The heel is further away from the ground when it's flat. If it's upright, the ground is closer
to the heel.
point.
But surely that turns it. I mean, you're only talking about minute margins, of course. Well, we're talking about less than a millimetre.
Yeah.
But
I think it's more, for me, more relevant about the initial ball direction.
Okay.
What you're seeing here is suddenly something that's a little bit...
all I'm doing is going back to what I've been told, having 2 degrees flat, and we're talking about a standard lie here.
I see it as initial start point and finish point on the ball. Where we've gone a little bit more upright, we're seeing a fraction more to the left.
Yeah.
If you were flatter, I would see that flight being a little bit more neutral.
Neutral, yeah.
That's the way I see it.
Exactly. But I would as well.
Yeah.
But I'm intrigued that where with mine, I'm seeing the impact point on the right side of the crosshair, and with this one, which is standard, is to the left of the crosshair. So
I think what you can do, and it applies to any good golf.
Yeah. I can manipulate it, of course I can.
Exactly.
But I'm just wondering what would be best.
Upright, you'd feel like you want to get a little bit taller for impact, whereas what you're working on with your coach in trying to stay down and lay the club down and the angle of attack improving, that's where the flatter lie angle would... I'm not just saying 2 degree flat seems quite extreme in my view.
Well, I must admit I did too.
But something that's a little bit flatter than that.
Yeah. So it would say be 1 degree flat rather than standard
just
lie.
a hair flatter than standard.
Yeah. Because I must admit, no disrespect to the people that have been giving me this advice, but I like the look of this club as it is now.
Yeah.
Now, what I like the look of and what's correct is maybe two different things.
But where I find that very interesting is how we've taken the same spin level that you get from your current clubs, increase the launch angle just a little bit.
Which can be partly head, partly shaft, obviously.
It's part and part, But I'm trying to give you a feeling that you really enjoy it.
But certainly, we've increased ball speed by one mile an hour, which is normally equates to about 3 yards. So smash factor's about the same, so that I'm not losing anything on that.
I see it as more of an optimum height here.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
And then when we look at, let's just say, the land angle, if you look at the land angle, it's just short of 45.
Yeah,
which is
perfect.
my benchmark number.
Yeah, well, it's everyone's, I would have suggested.
Yeah.
That's what we should be looking for. Now, interestingly, with the RX5 now not being available, is that the club to go for? As in the head?
Well, if you can get past the subjective side that's a bit clickier. Yeah.
Well, I'd have to.
Yeah.
If it's, no disrespect, I mean, my old coach, Peter Thompson, he was the first proper coach I had, as in full-time. And he said, Gary, it doesn't matter what it feels like, it's how it performs.
You've got to look at it as well.
Well, that is also extremely true.
But you're looking at that and you're saying,
This is less offset, funnily enough.
There's a little bit on it.
But I actually don't mind the look of it at all.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a really attractive. It's actually nice lines for a 6-iron. I don't know what the 5-iron will look like, but it looks nice to use. But it's a slightly lighter feel, but it feels actually really good. And I'm just wondering whether the lightness is contributing to the distance or not.
Yeah, it's just when I think about my gut reaction when I looked at your ZX5 6-iron, I went, that's quite heavy, Gary.
Yeah.
Is there just a slightly better feeling? Yeah. What that shaft does enable us to do with that higher balance point is just control the way it swings a little bit more. Yeah.
Well, it certainly feels easy to use. I know that, but it definitely is lighter. I would prefer a slightly heavier feel, only because, and I'm talking about margins
here.
here.
Can I just pass it back to me? Let's see where it is in relation to your own in balance terms. Yeah. So it's going to settle around sort of D3.5 there.
So it's midges.
I
hate to say this.
Yeah, you say that. It's 2.5 points.
Yeah, but it's weird. People have said, which is heavier of the two clubs? And I normally pick it out every time. And he said, the only person I've ever known be able to do that is Nick Faldo. Which is really, it's a compliment, I suppose. But
I'll tell you what, little bit.
Yeah.
Probably add in a couple of grams there.
Okay. Yeah.
Still, probably around about,
See that?
let's say, 1.5 lighter than your own.
It sounds stupid, but that feels so much better.
Yeah?
It's ridiculous, but it does feel better. All right, let's see if I can make it perform.
Nice number.
That felt great.
Nice number.
That felt so good.
Yeah. So what we
Strip of
had,
lead tape.
we've introduced a T300 only because it's the ballpark territory similar to the ZX5, catering for the same sort of golfer. The initial change was with the shaft. We went steel fibre I-70, which in real terms is 75 grams.
Yep.
In a reg, built at 38 inches long.
Yep.
For that 6. The initial swing
So that's
weight.
half an inch long?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The initial swing weight was D3.5. I've had a couple of grams worth of weight, so it's still reasonably heavy there. It's not heavy, but
No.
it's the middle ground between where it was at the first and where your 6-iron currently is. And that probably feels to you really good middle ground.
It feels fine.
Technically, what I like about it is always this slightly higher launch off this head. Spins quite nice there.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's perfect, but it's a little bit more, couple of hundred revs on that particular shot. This is a slightly better differential, what I see on TrackMan, between carry and total. Height is in a nice place, and that land angle, I fancy that land angle will be, sort of same sort of territory again. Yeah. So, nice change.
Yeah. And near the crosshair as well, as far as impact.
Just what you've enjoyed about the Zealous, my gut feeling with the Zealous is that it's a great shaft for just swinging smooth.
Yeah, which is me.
But if you did want to just, say you hit coming out of a bit of a rough line, you want to,
hit it harder.
A little bit harder,
Less left and
a
bit more control.
Bit more,
it feels great.
Yeah.
I honestly think
that's good.
It feels really
nice
good.
To know.
And, there's a lot about this club I really like. It doesn't feel quite as soft.
No,
hey,
I always said that was going to be the subjective change there.
Yeah. But it feels good.
Good miss.
Yeah, it was a good miss.
Just a hair.
I like that.
Just a hair. Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah. What's funny is you're picking up exactly how I know it's working. It was a good miss.
Yeah. Yeah.
And let's face it, those good misses are key. If you miss, it's got to be a good miss.
Just a little bit ground ball.
Yeah.
Therefore, the spin rates just come off that. But the initial launch is what is the saviour there.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. Oh, that was a bad miss. Actually, funnily enough, it's still gone fairly straight. That's me all over. That's the bad one. Come on. Concentrate. It's got to be that way.
That was a nice move, Gary. Not quite the contact, but
No.
you look very, very neutral in delivery there. Right, what I want to do, I'm not saying this next shot's going to work better, but it's almost to quantify or to justify that as a change.
Yes. Okay.
So this is the same weight shaft. This is a Mitsubishi MMT at the same weight,
Okay.
at the same length. I just want to...
Because obviously there is heavy graphite out there.
Well, this is what I've done here. The balance point of this shaft is lower down. This is more akin to a steel shaft.
Yeah.
In terms of balance.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then tells us where this sits. Yeah?
Absolutely.
We'll feel a little bit firmer.
So what's the swing weight on this club now?
I fancy this has gone up a little bit here now,
Okay.
where it went to sort of that D4.5 with the added lead. There you go. So suddenly you can see the difference a shaft makes.
Yeah, yeah.
That's at the same length.
Yeah, yeah.
And yet it's gone up 2 points.
Yeah, yeah.
This is all. If you give you an example, let's say you were building a set. Someone said, like, I want to move away from steel for injuries,
Yeah,
whatever
yeah.
it might be, but I want.
Well, I
the
used
same
graphite
feel.
for a long time. I've used graphite with the irons for quite a while.
But we
with
don't
ping.
need that on.
No. Okay, let's
There
give
you
that a go.
Just bear with me while I just change
Right,
the
it's
tag
up.
here.
Now you can see immediately you can feel the difference. That's actually amazing.
It's completely different, isn't it?
Oh, it's like chalk and cheese.
And this is where it's
That's
not
spooky.
about sheer weight. The balance of the shaft is having a huge bearing on the way that feels.
Yeah. A good miss.
Yeah, it's quite an interesting number, actually. Nice strike. That feel good?
Yeah, it feels fine. I actually like the increased weight, the feel. It feels easier for me to swing smoother with a slightly heavier club.
Yeah, and that was the reason I introduced that particular shaft, because here is a shaft that gives you the feeling of the steel shaft in balance terms.
Yeah.
But I think that's more stable than what you've currently got.
Now, that wasn't a particularly great strike, but
It's a good
it feels
number off of
stable
it.
still.
It's okay. It's okay. Slight drop on ball speed, a couple of miles down from your better one, but you seem to get a little bit more spin. Bear in mind, we're always around that 4.244 spin. We're getting a little bit more spin with the Pro V1 ball and that shaft.
Yeah, isn't that weird?
That is peculiar, yeah. Yeah, it's definitely launching a little bit higher, a little bit more spin.
Right.
That's a nice one.
I've absolutely crushed that.
Yeah. Do you know what?
Yeah,
As
you've
much
changed
as
now.
No, only because you enjoyed that.
Yeah.
But this is a very interesting number in that. What it's done, I think that has given us the ability to just push it on a bit in just
Launch.
almost more of an optimised performance. Because we've got the high launch, we now got a better spin for that launch, if that makes sense.
With, interestingly, the lower spin ball allegedly as well.
And look at that height.
Yeah, 91. Wow. Now, the only thing I'll say about that is, great, into the wind.
Still a strong spin number. It was only when you switched to the Pro V1X that you would probably then add that become 5,000.
Yeah.
But what it's done with the Pro V1 ball has given us a more optimum performance with that combination.
Wow.
Yeah?
Yeah. And if necessary, I mean, I've always said, I'm not averse to hitting a 5-iron to the same distance.
Land angle around about 46 there.
Yeah.
So it's higher, but in many respects, in conjunction with the Pro V1 ball, that seems to do something a little bit more again.
This is, you know what's really annoying? I've been through this process, but since I've been here and using the advice that you've given me, I've gone through so many different sets, and it would have been handy just to be able to keep going back and saying, right, we've revisited this now, and we're going back, and I'm actually going to get the right step first time instead of, in the nicest possible way, buggering about, trying to find something that works.
We're going to do our own equivalent of Billy Graham sessions, you know, make you a believer.
Yeah, absolutely. Little ball turf, but not bad. Again, a good miss.
Again, just a lovely miss. So
Yeah.
It's cost you 2 yards in the air there, Gary.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Which is nothing really. And when I flush it...
What would you say is a little question, because this is a lot of overemphasis on flex. I see flex sometimes more feel.
I don't disagree, and let's face it, there's no industry medium.
Does that feel a bit stout, or does
No.
that? Yeah, because that Mitsubishi is 75 gram stiff. What I like about that, it for me is more reliable than the Zelos.
Yeah, well, that's interesting, because normally you would say steel would always be more reliable.
When you get to a certain weight, for me, graphite takes over.
All right, well, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I had graphite, as I say, for years in the irons.
And that's without even discussing the element, you know, like the fatigue element of practicing with steel against graphite. You're likely to...
Well, the one benefit I had was, the reason why I went to graphite shafts was I tore the tendon in my elbow, and almost to the extent where it ruptured it completely. Fortunately, it healed, but I used graphite to reduce the amount of friction.
Yeah.
Because I was using a lot. I've used mats all my life.
They can. I'm a little bit of a.
Always use mats. So subsequently,
I'm a little bit guilty of that myself.
Yeah. Well, in Britain you are, because we don't have a facility. Oh, Gary, that's not good. That's a bad one.
Right, just bear with me. I'm going to have a little scout about, see if I can find another head to compare again.
Yeah, absolutely. That felt good. I just need this at home now, this facility. Don't need to go to the golf club at all. I'm not kidding you. If I had this at home, I'd be on it all the time. That's the problem.
I'm going a little bit left field here.
Okay.
Okay.
Don't mind left field.
You may not even be aware of this as a company, but it's a Swiss company called GMAR.
All right.
It's a forged head. It ticks your box of liking a bit of offset. It ticks the box of the field side off the head.
Okay.
And there's a little bit of hidden technology here. Ooh. This guy is he's basically a genius with metals. And what he's done is he's created a hidden pocket behind the face. You can't see it, but if you put your finger like that, would you believe there was a layer between there?
Well, I have to say no, you wouldn't.
No, you wouldn't, would you?
No.
It's a heavy head, but then a heavy head based on the balance that you require.
Okay.
Yeah.
We
certainly won't need lead tape on
No.
this. But I'm just, like I said, a little bit left field, but you just want to see what number it gives us.
Okay. That's what we're here to do, so.
Let's see if we get the head on.
Have you seen the new SR drivers and Titleist SR driver yet?
TSR?
No, TSR, yes.
TSR, yeah. We've got the drivers and fairways.
Because they reckon they're really strong.
Yeah. Be interesting to see where the balance is here, because I know this is a heavy head.
Wow, what a difference the day makes, eh?
But
again,
I mean, that might be tipping the balance.
Yeah,
a bit. But just
possibly.
want
Let's give it a go.
Just hit it.
Oh no,
You know, nothing ventured, nothing gained.
it does feel a big difference. Like the head.
Well, what I'm doing is catering for everything you say about offset and the need for feel.
The one thing I will say about heavy, I swing slower on the way back. It's not as quick on the way back, which helps me make better contact.
Yeah,
that's why I like
heavy. There has to be
heavy.
a middle ground, though.
That's why I like to have heavy head, basically, because then I feel where the head is and I can swing slower. Now that's really good for me because it means I then complete my swing. That's why I quite like heavy clubs. That's why I've been moving that way with swing weight.
Choice, eh? That's exactly the same number you got off the Titleist head.
Yeah.
With that shaft.
Amazing. Amazing.
Very, very similar launch and spin. Nice, efficient ball speed. It's a nice sound, isn't it?
Yeah, it's lovely. Okay, I've slightly drawn that one, but
all I'm really taking on board, when you said you like seeing a little bit of offset,
yeah,
that head, you can definitely see it, can't you?
oh yeah, definitely. This is.
But it should be quite a soft feel.
Yeah, it feels fine.
Oh. Well, put a fair bit of shape on that. Now, I would say...
I think that's to do with the heavy head.
Yeah. I was just going to say that for me, the heavier balance is encouraging, probably dropping it a little bit more on the inside.
Absolutely.
Contact was amazing.
Yeah.
Look at the ball speed there,
Yeah.
113.
Yeah.
So, but just for me, a little bit too much in the way of shape.
Yeah, too much shape.
And that's where, for me, there's that middle ground of what is the optimum balance for you.
Well, and that's the key, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'll see if I can see if it makes any difference just by thinking about it. Now that's me thinking about it more. So subsequently, I've now got it that minor draw. Okay, ball speed's come down a little bit.
Where it would be.
Interesting, the spin rate's gone down too.
Let's just. I can't quite see what that is. I've just made a little bit of a clerical error there. These two are with the MMT. That was the MMT shaft there. I meant to take the shaft out, but that is with the MMT there.
Okay.
So your path with the lighter Titleist was 4.5, 2.8. That's about half that, or just above. So a little bit less. Here is definitely more shape.
Yeah.
Strike point's lovely. Nice hot spot. Ball speed average is good. You're definitely seeing more shape with it.
Yeah.
Good head.
Yeah.
Lovely feeling head. More of a task.
To be honest, I don't notice a massive difference between the feel of the heads. It's fine. It feels good. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is it's fine, but I don't notice that it's oh, that's horrible and that's really nice.
Yeah.
There's not that much of a difference.
No. I just wanted to. You need the comparison to know what.
Oh, absolutely.
To put everything
quite
in
right.
perspective.
Yeah.
What do you make of that shaft that I introduced there?
Yeah, it's fine. It feels fine.
Yeah,
no problem at all.
For me, it just gave more performance, like for like. It got a little bit more with the Pro V1 ball.
Yeah.
But then we've already discussed, move to the X when it's,
if I need to,
firmer or whatever. But it has changed the flight slightly. This felt lighter.
Yes.
High balance point. the steel fibre there.
And the good thing is that if we needed to make the head slightly heavier, lead tape is always still an option.
It's always easier going that way than it is going...
Well, you can't take anything off that. Not really.
Not really, no. Practice of drilling out heads or...
Yeah. But the only problem with drilling out heads on something like that is, where do you drill? There isn't much option.
Well, that's just
That's
drilling through. You know, it's in the hosel.
Yeah, well, or maybe in the bottom.
But it is a heavy head. It is I think a great head. It's one that we've actually asked the guy at G Morris to actually create a less offset version of it as well.
Yeah.
Because he's close to something really, really good there.
Well, absolutely. And let's face it, design always takes a little while to get exactly right. I mean, you look at all the major manufacturers, they've got quite a selection of heads, normally 3, that you have to choose. And by doing that, you then hopefully find the right thing that suits everybody. The problem is, one never really suits everyone.
No,
it's not like
never
the
will.
old Ping
It never
thing,
will.
where they had ZZ Light and you had I2 heads, and that was it. You didn't have any option.
Yeah.
You either liked it or you didn't.
It was that golden period of walk along a set of clubs on a rack, and for every better player's club, it was dynamic gold, as if one shaft existed.
Yes. Well,
you're a good
same
player.
with ZZ Light as well. That was it. You didn't have any other option, and they never made any other options.
And that was quite stiff.
Yes, it was.
Yeah,
Generally lighter weight, but it was stiff.
Compared to, say, a dynamic gold, they set a more of a benchmark.
But that was it.
I
mean, and hence why probably I didn't do so well with the longer irons. If I I always used to say, if I hit my 3-iron well on the practice ground, I knew I was in for a good round.
Yeah.
Because my swing was obviously tuned that particular day. But if I hit the 3-iron badly, I was always thinking, well, maybe I'm going to have to think a little bit more carefully about my clubbing. But yeah, okay. That all said, what's
I would say that for me, the T300 ticked the box in terms of shaping.
With that shaft?
With that shaft, yeah. It just gave almost. It just became more optimum performance with that Pro V1 ball.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So that's good then. Yeah.
Okay.
No problem with that.
But cheers. One avenue we haven't tested was the JPX head with that shaft.
Okay. Right. Well, let's try it.
Why don't we do that?
Yeah. Absolutely. I must admit, I prefer the look of that head to the JPX head, if I was being entirely honest.
Really?
It looks a little bit more chunky.
Yeah, they've done such a great job because you've got weight support in that top on that top line, but the way they camber chamfer that off,
it just looks.
It just softens up the line a little
absolutely.
bit. Yeah,
totally agree with you.
Yeah.
Thank God for universal hosel settings.
Oh, this is groundbreaking, isn't it, really? For us,
that means you can try everything.
It makes us what we are, you know.
Yeah.
Because do you remember the spin numbers we got with this?
Yeah.
Very low.
Yeah. Might make a big difference.
If it
might do.
Yeah.
What's the swing weight? Just out of interest.
Should be around that. Yeah, there you go. Roughly where your iron 6 irons. Yeah.
Perfect.
Just bear with me again.
Yeah, sure.
Try and do it properly this time.
I'm Mr. Impatient. I want to start whacking straight away.
There you are.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, still that's very strong spin number again. Yeah, it's got better. It's got better than it was. But it's just still a very, very low spin there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what's the feel? What's the
Well,
feeling?
one thing, you do get a slightly better spin number off this shaft.
Yeah.
Because if you remember our numbers from before, we
Yeah.
were sub 4,000,
Yeah.
weren't we, comfortably. 3.5, 3.6, it's way too low.
Yeah.
It's gone up,
Yeah.
but, and like I said, the efficiency.
But they're all
is
pretty much the same. Carry 62, 111, 112.
Yeah, but look at the bigger picture of the height
Flight,
there.
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
You've lost, for
much.
me, you've lost 10 foot of
yeah,
height.
too much.
Yeah.
It's too much. Yeah, it's worth trying though. But I did,
But
I
it
did
is
prefer the look
interesting-
of that, I have to be honest, as a head.
It is very, very, very interesting how both with the Titleist head and this, the spin number got a little bit better.
So what's the difference between these heads then? So that you brought those three out. What's the difference between the heads?
So Pro version is a more neutral, less offset.
Right.
Probably, to be fair, maybe even worth putting on for you.
Yeah, go on, let's go.
Because the
let's
base
go for
loft
it.
is better.
Yeah.
And it's not as chunky looking.
Yeah.
The top line is a little bit
try it.
more,
That's what we're here for.
a little bit more in line with the T300 head. Yeah,
Swing weight about the same.
Well, these head weights. Right. I might have to. Funny enough, this is a lighter head on this model.
All right. Well, there we go.
But
It'd be interesting.
I'm going to test the water here. It's a double whammy. This. I'm going to test the water to see what that feels like weight-wise, and then we can add weight to it.
Let's go with it. Yeah,
Let's do that. Yeah. Just bear with me again.
Funny enough, it doesn't feel too bad. This looks flatter as well, funnily enough.
Mizuno lies always that little bit flatter than Titleist by about a degree. Ooh. Just a little bit of ground ball, I reckon.
Yes, there was.
Yeah.
I can't get away with anything with you, can I?
No.
Same.
Same deal. That's hidden a whole. It's amazing how well it's done. But it's definitely these Mizuno heads are definitely lower spinning. Yeah. Pass that back.
Yeah, no problem.
Much the same deal.
Yeah. It's
Probably
not,
a little bit more neutral in flight.
Yeah.
As a result of the lack of offset.
And
It's
ball
got
speed's down as well.
got a better look to it, but the spin rate is
Yeah, no good. So we've decided that the
T300.
300, yeah.
Great head.
Yeah, not too averse to that.
Really,
and
really nice.
you know, to be honest, I quite like either the dual graphite or the graphite, to be honest. They both feel good.
What we'll do, let's just finalise this with hitting both heads.
Yeah.
Sorry, the one head with the two shafts.
Yeah, okay.
And make a final decision.
Yeah,
mate.
okay.
But I've given you two nice options.
Yeah. Now, the big question, of course, is if, for instance, we go down this route and I get a set of those irons, how long are they going to take to get?
James to do some magic for us.
Well, because it's interesting because, because obviously I've got the relationship with Titleist already, so I'm just wondering whether they might be able to expedite it.
We'll have that discussion. Yeah.
Yeah,
We'll have that. We'll come to an agreement. Right, so we're putting. I'm going to go T300 head with the Mitsubishi MMT first.
Yeah, perfect.
And then we'll go to the steel fibre. What we don't need is the lead tape on here.
Yeah.
It was more optimised with the other shaft,
Yeah,
if
okay.
you remember.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Let's see what the swing weight turns out as well.
Just as well, I don't suffer from dementia and all these changes.
I do, so let me tell you.
There you go.
That wasn't my best. Stupid. Concentrate. It was a better hit.
Yeah. I sort of like the flight with this combination.
Yeah.
You haven't quite tapped in on those three. You found a 113 for me off this combo earlier, so. So you're up for the challenge. Just a little bit more on that.
Always.
Yeah.
Always up for the challenge.
Good move.
Nearly. Wasn't a good strike.
Okay.
One
All right.
more.
Now
Just
let's
one,
put
just one more.
and then we'll
I'd
put
like to finish on a good one if I
yeah,
can.
and then I'll put the steel fiver back on.
Oh,
Just a little bit ground there. The
Toe.
will be off that one.
Toey.
Yeah.
Don't worry. Right.
All right.
Ooh. I'm my own worst enemy. I'm my biggest critic. People go, oh, that's a great shot. No, it really wasn't. Oh, are you sure? It was really good. It's finished really close. No, it wasn't good. Is that an up-to-date picture of the St Andrews, the 18th?
Why? That's asking me a question I wouldn't know.
Because obviously the museum next to the clubhouse is obviously a newish building, which is that one there.
Oh,
And
yeah.
then you've got the russets there, obviously, which they've redone completely.
Lead tape back on,
Oh, right, good, yeah.
because that's what you enjoyed.
I do enjoy a bit of lead tape.
It won't be there in the final build.
Is this half an inch longer or standard?
That's at that half. So neutral. This is steadier, Gary. I think you control your face angle a little bit better with this.
Yeah.
Safer.
All right, let's see if I can just step on one a little bit.
Oh.
Just gave that a little
There
extra.
she blows.
Gave it a little extra.
You-
Was that a difference or not?
That was massive.
And that's just me giving it a little extra, and I middled it as well.
That's a better shaft.
I'm not going to disagree. I mean, it looks great. It feels great. Nice combination, that.
Yeah, just that extra bit of weight though on it.
I think you need that.
Yeah.
You need it at the top
It's not
as
as
well.
heavy as yours. It's
No.
not. It's not as heavy as yours. It's about a point and a half lighter than your current 6-iron. I just reckon that's in a very, very nice place there.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I've got no
That's
problem
your
with that.
strongest number actually. 91 feet with a 166 carry. So
Ball turf. That was a bad one. Stupid. Right, I'll concentrate this time.
That's that shot you were referring to.
Yeah, ball
nice
turf.
shot, Gary.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
No. That's me holding the face off. Oh, not too bad.
Nothing wrong with it.
Not too bad.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd accept that as a shot. Let's hit one more. Quite like this grip, actually.
That's just 360 to a velvet, that. I sense
Nutted that.
I sense you really enjoy this combo.
I nutted that.
You look at the height.
Oh, sorry, that's me.
It's all right, no problem.
I shouldn't have it on the ring. Sorry. And it's somebody I probably don't want to speak to. Who do I know in Retford, in England? Nobody. Somebody's trying to sell me something again. Right, good. Okay.
Just very, very nice numbers.
Yeah, like that. Now, with regards to the lie, would you change the lie?
I'm just going to come to that. One reader as well.
Oh, I'm everything,
Yeah?
tell you. Don't take me on at cards.
God, that's when I would go to Vegas if I could read minds.
Well, wouldn't we all?
Right, just going to get a little tool to. We're going to just see how it. Get a couple of strikes off of it, see where it's marking.
Perfect. Let's do that. Problem is, when I start thinking about lies, I alter my swing. Yeah, 112. That's good. 112's good. Smash factor 145.
Shaft weight's exactly the same as a dead weight. Just this one is more, the weight is towards the hand. What are you after?
The ball stencil. Want me a sec, Gal?
Yeah, no problem. See, again, if you win the lottery, you set up something like this. I've got space. I've got an area just right of the house that would just be perfect. Walk straight out the lounge, straight into the swing room. Right, come on then, let's hit a few hundred balls. And I would be on there for hours. I just love hitting shots. But the problem is my back is, I fell during the first lockdown and I jarred my back. And I don't know what I did, but it seems to be a recurring injury. And I need to get an MRI scan done on it to sort of find out if there's anything more serious than what But it just, if I start hitting too many shots and I hit bad shots, gets very sore.
That's where that could be a nice
massive.
change as well.
I don't disagree. Right, so
what we're going to do,
yeah,
I've just got a line on this ball.
yeah. Problem is, you're now relying on me hitting a proper shot again.
You're more than good enough, don't worry.
Oh, am I? Indeed. Right, you flarch, can you? Right.
That is just I'm going to show this to the main camera here. You see that there? Yeah? So what we've actually got is, if you just come in this way, Gary, a hair of tilt that way.
Yeah.
So where I put that line on the ground vertically, for me to create that vertical line, I've got to do that.
Yes.
So what has that done at impact?
Yeah.
It's hair toe up. So it's not drastic.
No.
But
Degree.
Let's say a degree from the Titleist standard spec.
Yeah.
A little bit flatter than standard. A 61 lie on a 6 iron would be a nice spec.
Okay.
But that was a good exercise.
Very good. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
There we go.
Chucking clubs at you now.
No, well, I wish everyone did. It becomes an expensive exercise when you have 6 changes of clubs in probably 2.5 years.
Here's the bit that in finding a final spec, the length side of it, because I think you've really enjoyed that.
I have hit it great.
And it was ½ inch longer.
Yeah, I would agree. Okay.
Not the
I'm
one.
Yeah.
The balance side of it, this is the bit. If we go 1 inch, then I lose what we've enjoyed there.
Yeah.
There's that D 4.5
Yeah.
type of swing weight at that length.
Yeah.
It's heavier than standard.
A
but
4 to 5, I'm happy with either way.
Yeah. If we go another ½ inch, we're then losing what we've
Although
achieved.
you wouldn't have the lead tape on.
We wouldn't, but still, you're gaining 3 swing weight points for that extra ½ inch.
Yeah.
It might be
Which, if you took the lead tape off now, you'd be looking at D2.
D 3.5.
Right. So.
So it's 3.5.
Yeah. Okay. So.
But it's what you feel.
Yeah.
You know,
No. I
you
mean,
know,
hey, it's picking hairs here. At the end of the day, we've got a combination that actually seems to work really well.
Yeah.
That's if I want to put some lead tape on, I can always put some lead tape on. As you say, it's that option is always there. The length of the club.
Just don't say you hadn't built a precision, because it won't be a good advertisement to have a load of lead on one of our builds.
Well, all right then. Well, okay. You might well say that, but in fact, actually, funnily enough, there's an awful lot of tour pros out there with lead tape on their clubs.
Yeah,
so
sure.
whoever it is.
Yeah. But you know, I feel it's one of these. I'm not a big fan when clubs get really long.
No.
You lose a little bit of the.
Well, it's a bit like I used to have a 48-inch driver.
Yeah.
And then they decided that, and I was the one. I think my case for saying 48 is a limit, because I used to have longer than that. I used to have a 50-inch driver. But my case was 48. Who uses 48-inch drivers? Nobody.
No.
And then, of course, Bryson DeChambeau comes out and starts whacking these 48-inch drivers all over. But the thing is, he won one tournament using it and hit a couple of shots, but didn't win necessarily the tournament with this immense driver. The fact is, I don't know why they've limited the length of the driver from 48 to 46. I don't understand that. It doesn't make any sense. And I played with Martin.
You've got to be very talented to use that extra.
Well, exactly. And the fact is, it normally means you're hitting it all over the place. But they were quite happy to not limit the length of a putter. And yet they were quite happy to limit the length of a driver. Sorry?
Yeah.
What's the difference?
It's all putting stuff on robot.
Lawsuit on putters, and nothing on driver.
You put it on a robot, goes faster, and that sends the alarm bells.
Well, okay,
going.
but then you've got to hit it very, very straight.
Yeah.
I mean, God, these
But
guys...
the robot does.
Yeah, well, of course it does. Well, at least they're now working on a much higher ball speed anyway, 125, I
Okay,
think,
just
now
bear
they're
with me. I'm going
testing.
to make some notes here.
Yeah,
So
okay,
that we've
perfect.
got a spec.
Yeah, perfect. I'd love some water, actually. I was just thinking, I thought I put a bottle in the bag, and I haven't.
I was going to say we could have a 5-minute timeout while I do write down some specs.
Perfect.
And then
Perfect.
yeah.
Perfect, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, right now. Wedge discussion.
Well, yeah, the wedge is unfortunately going to be very difficult, because what I have here, that was uniquely made for me. It's 55 degrees, but I can put it up my left nostril.
Right, okay.
I've not seen another wedge that I can do the same things with.
Yeah, this is essentially what is equivalent to the ES grind with the high toe.
Right.
You know, like the original I2 sand iron.
Absolutely.
Very much that sort of deal, that. Yeah.
But, low bounce, and as I say, it's 55 degrees, and yet I can hit it like a 60. So
Yeah.
In fact, it might even be.
Probably the lower bounce is what gets
Yes.
the.
Well, it allows. Well,
allows
that is the only way of doing it.
Yeah.
The two wedges are 2 degrees more lofted than what they say. So that's 52 and that's 48.
Okay.
So that's the 4-degree increments again that we're
Well,
talking about.
certainly, from where your ZX5 pitching wedge was, you carried a pitching wedge in
Yes.
the ZX, which is a stronger loft.
Yeah.
Much in the same fashion as the T300.
Yeah.
That stronger loft.
Yeah, yeah.
With that being at 48, I see that being the next loft to choose anyway.
Yeah.
And this is, say, is 52.
Yeah.
So 52. And that's the most loft you have, 55?
Yes.
Which you feel like is more than enough?
Well, I don't need. Why would I have anything else?
Old school.
Yeah.
Old
Well,
school.
I am. I mean, I used to carry only 3 wedges, and it was perfectly all right.
I had a very interesting conversation with Andrew Coltart, when he came through about 18 months ago, and really did not like a lot of loft in the bag. He felt that sand iron, a maximum loft of 56, is more than useful.
If it's set properly, I mean, I've looked at 55 degree or 56 degree wedges and 58, and they don't sit right. So subsequently, I can't use them. So subsequently, this at the moment is the only wedge I've got. I have got one that I've had bent. There's too much bounce on it, so actually I need to take bounce off. But yeah, with this, when I put it on a piece of grass, I can.
What do
just
you
pop
make
that.
of the bounce on these two there?
I'm not worried really.
You know?
No.
Reason
don't
being,
mind.
where they've had loft added to them, you've added bounce further
Yes, exactly.
to it.
So it doesn't bother
But
me.
it's just having that low bounce in the extreme.
In the extreme wedge
Yeah.
only.
Yeah.
I don't need to worry
You
about
see
that.
that on that one.
Yeah,
You see
exactly.
the clearance.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
a fair bit of bounce on that.
Well, but the impact, I'm always wanting to impact down into the back of the ball because you're trying to create more spin.
Yeah.
And chipping, again, chipping, I'll either chip with the toe or I can chip that. I can open the club face up. It depends on the lie that I've got and the options that I've got with obviously the 3 wedges anyway. So I've got a lot of ability to manipulate. So I don't mind having an extra bounce. But it isn't the be all and end all. I mean, it doesn't matter to me. They're all longer.
Yeah.
But the fact is, it doesn't bother me that what is slightly concerning with this particular wedge is I think it's too flexible, the shaft. So subsequently, I'm finding that to get a 50 or 60 yard chip sometimes is quite hard. If I make good contact, it comes off the club face very quickly.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
So that's the only thing that concerned me about that. But having said that, those wedges, generally speaking, fit quite well. I mean, I can hit this up to 90 yards. I can hit that to about 100 yards, and I can about to 110.
Yeah.
Maybe a bit more, depending on the conditions. If it's warmer, I can hit them further.
Are they all regs?
Yes, I think so. But heavier weights, I think that's a heavier weighted one.
36.5.
I think that's
Wow,
950s.
Yeah, that's heavy.
Well, they're all heavy.
Yeah. I'm just thinking more in terms of a change here and a backup set, if that's what we're doing
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
I want something to fall.
Well, it might be a set I use.
Yeah,
That might become the backup
exactly.
set.
But we need to tie in with what we've already achieved.
Yeah.
So if we carry this length across, then you suddenly end up with a gap wedge that's the same length as your 9-iron.
Right.
And your pitching wedge would be shorter than your gap. At
Why
these
would
lengths.
oh, I see what you mean.
Carrying that
Yeah,
over.
yeah. Oh, right, yeah,
you
yeah.
understand?
It's just quite useful as long as I can maintain those distances.
Yeah.
So
All right, I'll tell you what to do then.
that's the key.
Do you want to run? Let's start with what we see as our gap wedge. So the one that's at 48.
Well, they're both gap wedges.
Yeah, but the one that's at 48.
Okay.
That's the one I see as your gap wedge.
Okay.
From the forward mat, Gary.
Forward mat, right. You've caught me again.
I might have to move the track, man. Yeah.
Oh, right.
Just
okay.
gonna bring this in a little bit for us, just so we can get some numbers. And I'm just gonna realign it.
Okay.
Could you do me let me just... I'm just going to put a ball a little bit further forward, or an object just a bit further forward, just to get a visual for you.
You can put it as close as you like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Is that where you want it? Or do you want it further this way?
Just a little bit more towards you. A little bit more. That's it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, of course, needless to say, what do I do? Hit it thin. So then we hit it flat. We'll eventually hit one properly.
Sounded a bit crisper.
Yeah, it was definitely crisper.
So essentially, I don't know if you'd agree, I mean, you're more the sort of 105, 106 carry on this one.
It will go to 110. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously I haven't hit one properly, but I'll put one to 110 for you.
Given the task, yeah, much more on that one. 113.
Yeah, so I can
But you
manipulate.
see that as a steady 110 club.
Yeah, I would normally say 110 to 105. Yeah, is easy, and then if I have to make it more, then I can. So,
Yeah.
but obviously the pitching wedge, I want to get to 120. That's a little bit more tricky. I normally have to hit that really flush to be able to get 120, 22. So I'm always looking at them manipulating shots if I have to.
New wedge, you never know.
Well, exactly. So you never know.
A little bit more.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah?
Again, you're going to be back to non-long shafts again. But again, I don't mind switching the shaft as well. It doesn't make any difference. I sort of prefer steel to chip with.
Yeah, yeah, I know where you're coming from.
And I quite like heavy for wedges, particularly if I'm going to chip with them. So again, it's that balance between playing and chipping.
Yeah, the Vokey head is heavier. Yeah?
I've not really gone down the Vokey route, but certainly for those two gap wedges, I've got no problem. The lob wedges, they've yet to make one that I like the look of.
Where my hands are a little bit tight behind my back, this is the stiff nip-on.
Okay.
Yeah?
And what
same,
weight?
950.
All right.
Yeah. But where it's obviously, this is reasonably short, but it's just more a feel thing here.
Okay.
Yeah. Hope you can reach the ground.
You will.
Yeah. But
I can always reach the ground. That's not
the reason
normally
for the tape on
Yeah.
it needs to be brought up for that particular
Okay.
length. Just one sec.
Gosh, this is short. Holy cow! You're right.
I
Maybe
did
I might
warn
not.
you,
I
I
can
did,
kneel
yeah.
down.
It's been noted though.
I'm gripping it at the absolute extreme. That felt lovely, but a lot higher.
I think your speed's going to be a little bit quicker at the longer length, but it's good contact.
Yeah,
Nice
I
contact.
couldn't have hit it better, to be honest.
But where yours is a 46 head knocked up to 48, this is a straightforward 48
Yeah,
head here.
yeah. Little clean.
Yeah. You get a little bit more speed off the ping head. Not that it's what you don't want them
Massive.
hot, but the Vokey tends to probably come off a little bit softer maybe, but I'm just offering
An option.
an option
Yeah, yeah.
really.
It's a nice looking head. Got no problem with that. It's a wedge. At the end of the day, the gap wedges are less important than, for me, look-wise, than the lob wedge.
Yeah.
Lob wedge has to do a variety of things. Sometimes it's a run shot, sometimes it's an open shot, sometimes it's square. It's got a lot of options, and particularly out the bunkers as well.
Yeah.
Hence why that's such a key club for me.
That's got less bounce on it.
Yeah.
Because of one, we haven't changed the loft up, which is added bounce.
Yeah.
It's a 10-degree bounce on paper. I would play some chips with it, see what it feels like, because you're going to potentially.
It's not going to be a problem
No?
again. No, it really. Look, chipping is one of the things that I'm really good at. So subsequently, I can manipulate and adapt to what I need, and that's what I have to do with a lot of clubs.
Of what is going to be a crucial club to let's say, replicate and back up is that.
The lob wedge is going to be almost impossible, I think, but unless somebody's very good at grinding. But I mean, you're talking about probably an inch and a half different. But you never know. Right. So how are you going to get that to 55 and make it look all right?
We'll bring in a stronger loft of it.
Okay.
But the point I'm making here, can you see the grind?
Yes, that bit is not the issue. Yeah, absolutely. I don't disagree with that.
Yeah.
But it's how it sits.
I agree with you.
Good catch.
I agree with you. That's a 6. But I'm just giving you
what
I
the
see
shape of the head. That's fine.
What you can do.
Yeah, no problem.
High toe type design.
Again, the head shape is not the issue. It's how it. When I say how it looks, it's how it lies on the ground.
Yeah. But
with all the variety. So that's a possibility. Yeah, definitely.
It's got it's got a little bit of width to it, but you can see.
Yeah. It could be manipulated.
It can be. You could be able to work this. I would say play some shots and see what you make of this sole. I think this does a better job than anything within the Titleist range, unless we're grinding. Doing a lot of work on the sole. Because
the problem you've got is you're not comparing like for like. That's 55 degrees. That's 60.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
Yeah.
This is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
And you can already see when you put that down on the ground to loft it up, it's not bad, but don't forget, it's still probably quite a bit more proud from the ground with a lob wedge shot, which, okay, I'm not going to try and show off too much, but
yeah.
You know, the fact is...
I take on board what you're saying. I'm just offering some
No,
idea
absolutely.
in bounce terms.
Yeah, I mean,
that
if I was being... I'm more of a
design.
purist. The fact that you've got grooves going all the way to there...
Not your bag?
Immaterial. It's immaterial. It doesn't do anything. You know, those grooves up there, if you're hitting those, you're in real trouble. I don't know why they put grooves up there.
It's the marketplace.
I understand that. Yes, I mean, it's fine. I mean, if I ever needed a 60 degree, absolutely no problem at all. But it's not a club that I ever really ever use.
Okay. So this is more the same loft now. It's another tailor-made. It's the raw face version.
Absolutely, yeah.
What I'm saying here is we got a little bit of a cuspid, but it's a very subtle one. And then if we done a little bit of work
that's what would have to happen. It would go across there like that to there.
Yeah.
You still need the bit on the toe, because that's with mine. The beauty of it is I've still got the toe. So, for instance, if I'm in a bunker, and what I'm doing when I open it up is I've still got the bounce that's actually going to make the impact into the sand. So subsequently, although there's very little bounce on it, as in there's literally nothing standing proud to the leading edge when I'm chipping that way. So firm fairways, absolutely not a problem. As soon as I try and do this with club, even this one, you know, even though I'm trying to do that, it's still standing more proud. Yeah. So subsequently, the hard part is is getting rid of that,
Yeah.
so that it.
Yeah.
Because let me tell you, as soon as you start grinding, that club is for me only. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
So
This is achievable.
It is.
We got
absolutely.
You know, we've got to
Well,
look at ideas.
it must be, because that was
and-
achievable.
Yeah, yeah.
The hard part is then making them the right length.
I love listening to someone with a great reputation short game and what their view is on you
Well,
know,
I'm
their setup.
fairly unique, only from the point of view I understand the short game. In other words, the essence of what the head's doing, the impact point, and also the backswing. These all reflect on how the ball is going to perform when it lands on the green. That's just me. I'm wired that way. I love putting as well. They're the aspects that have kept me going, if you like, for.
But that's why it's interesting for me to listen to you.
Yeah.
Because I love listening to people's views on.
You see, the
where
fact
they're
that these are
coming from.
long allows me a lot of option. Sometimes you've got to get it over a tree and still hit it 120 yards. So all of a sudden then I'm hitting it full length of club, and I've got that option. Whereas with a standard wedge, I wouldn't. Standard length wedge, I wouldn't be able to do that.
Well,
in the same
that's
way.
where maybe on the fine tune, you know, where we'd normally have a graduation, a quarter-inch increment
Yeah.
between
So
clubs,
what you're saying
we
is-
could plateau it out so that we still got more length in those wedges, as long as we're controlling balance as
pitching
well.
wedges here. Yeah, pitching wedges there. So, for instance, you can see there isn't a great deal of difference between the length of all of them.
No.
But the loft then becomes the key.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what I've just mentioned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a bit like
Really,
Bryson. It's
your-
like
your-
Bryson DeChambeau with all the clubs being the same
Yeah,
length.
exactly. Your pitch, your gap, your secondary gap are all the same length.
Pretty much.
And it's only the lob
The loft.
wedge.
The loft is what
most lofted.
differentiates between
The most
the-
lofted one is just a little bit shorter.
It's just a little bit shorter, just for
Yeah.
control and everything
Yeah.
else.
Yeah.
But that obviously,
Yeah, I get you. I get you. Yeah.
and then it's just about manipulating the club face. I'm intrigued by your stool.
Oh, that.
Now, I saw there was a company, they do golf ball seats and table. And they're absolutely brilliant. But it's outside, it's shaped like a golf ball with dimples, but big dimples. And they're fantastic. But I wanted the coffee table. So I haven't got into it yet. But apparently, what they can do is they can etch on the top of the table all your wins, or a picture of you holding a trophy, or the trophy, or whatever you want, underneath the glass for the top of the table. I loved all that. I think I like that because of the fact that it's a golf bag. I think that's brilliant.
He had a missed call from Pat. Was trying, is this one in the afternoon? Yeah. Pat was trying to get hold of him to ask him if he can come in half an hour early and be moved to Matt's diary.
Can you just tell me what you make of that shape here? Again, it's a lofted one.
This one.
This one
that
here.
Oh, that one.
Only because
Yep.
it's very close. It's workable for what we want to
Yeah,
achieve.
absolutely.
Yes, this is in a high loft,
Yeah.
but a
Do
low,
they do a 58 in that one?
Well, they do a 56 in a low bounce, you see,
Okay.
and then you can just fine tune it on loft. But 56 for me is a good. If you, 48, 52, 56 is quite a nice progression. In
Yeah,
loft.
well, I think, to be honest, this is between
Can I measure that?
45
Can I measure it?
and, yeah, 46, absolutely. Wow, get some spin on that.
55 and a half.
Yeah.
It's similar territory.
Yeah.
But it's just what you're seeing to the ground here.
Is there a longer shaft that you can put in there?
I can on heavy shaft, but
Yeah.
I have a longer shaft.
Yeah, well, it doesn't matter how
Yeah.
heavy it is.
It's only. Let's have a look for a longer shaft then. I think this is a little bit longer, Gary.
Okay.
About ½ inch longer.
Yeah, yeah.
What I like is also with the raw head, once you do a little bit of grind work, it blends in and it doesn't
straight away.
Yeah, it becomes.
And that's the beauty of that head. It just doesn't look any different. They've got it's basically it's brushed steel, and it doesn't look any different, which is quite clever, really.
Yeah. I think that sits already. It sits very
Better.
flush, and then.
Well, it will do
without
because
any
it's
work.
60. But yeah.
But I quite like the use of a raw head because of what it gives you in working a grind on it and not necessarily making it look a little bit doctored.
Certainly creates a lot more spin than mine.
Yeah,
That's freaky.
yeah. The spin numbers are definitely.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine. It's fine. It's not a problem as far as an option, certainly. It's a nice enough looking head. I like the fact that it's slightly bowed, the leading edge, which I prefer on my wedges anyway, because it allows you options with regards chipping. If it's bowed slightly, then you can use the toe as a chipping option, or you can close it up, and it's still,
It's just for
plenty of
me
options.
with what's out there and what's a good head to use as a base head, and not have to do too much with it.
No.
It's
Well, I mean,
almost there, isn't it?
It is. Making it 55 is obviously going to be interesting as to what that does, but then you have got the option of a little bit of grind here, just there, across those two fingers, and then, to be honest, it pretty much sits fine. Well, it should do.
I'm going to do a little drawing of it, just so that I can sort of get a feel for what's going on here. Yeah. Mm-hmm. There's a little bit of clearance there.
Yeah, but not much.
But it is fairly unique though, because
it is. Well, it's unique because it was specially ground.
Yeah.
With me there and doing a bit at a time until eventually we found something that, like it when it sits on the ground, I've got the option of cutting right across that, and I've got a 60-degree wedge, and it's because it's longer, not as long as the gap wedges, but because it's longer, it gives me the option of saying, well, okay, I may open up the club face, but I can still get maybe 70 yards out of it. Whereas if I open that up and then try to hit it 70 yards, got no chance. Well,
the only thing you have to accept is very much with what you've got is that where the length has plateaued out, the balance has generally gotten heavy again.
Yeah. But again, that's what I want. I want as heavy as you can make it.
I think when you look at, say, a pitching wedge, your spec on your pitching wedge on a new set would be 36 1/4, and then plateau it out from that point onwards.
You see, you're saying that, but I would almost certainly be putting lead tape on. I want heavy.
Really?
For chipping.
Well, these will be heavy
chips,
anyway. These
well, that's fine.
These will be heavy.
Yeah.
If we plateau out the length from the pitching wedge onwards, it's just going to get progressively heavier.
Yeah, that's fine.
If heavy is what you want, it runs against the
won't
grain
be an
a
issue.
little bit.
It won't be. I know it's against everyone else's grain.
Yeah.
But the fact is, if I was coaching,
not an issue here.
But if I was coaching, I'd be wanting people to have much heavier wedges, because when it's light, it gets very quick on the way back.
Yeah.
There's no
It
real
relaxes the
impact
hands
speed.
with heavy.
It has to be soft.
You
slow.
soften the hands with heavy,
Yeah.
don't you?
Yeah.
You almost just literally
And then,
just.
softening the hands, yes, softening the grip, but you're still maintaining that stiffness in the wrist.
Yeah.
When you're chipping, as in little chip and runs with the gap wedges.
Yeah.
But the beauty of it is you always know where the head is.
Yeah.
So then you don't have to take it back so quick to get the distance. And that's, to me, where delicate shots, that's where it all comes.
If you had
But
to
that's me
pick, if you had to
personally.
pick a shape between that and what this is where it's subjective.
I quite like the look of that. I don't mind the look of that. It's just
Well,
that I don't understand why
the only-
the
yeah,
grooves have to
yeah.
go up there. That's fine. I like the look of that.
I like that to cater for this high loft.
Yeah. Well, particularly from the point
It's
of view.
almost there already.
Yeah.
It's very little it needs.
Yeah, exactly.
Just
That's-
soften
it's
the
just-
back edge
yeah.
off, and we've got
Well,
it.
especially at 55, then you've got.
James, have you got a camera on you? Your phone? Could you do me a little favour? Just so
They are
that-
very close.
They are close, aren't they? Just want you to take a photograph of Gary's, just for future record, because it is fairly unique.
It is unique. I can guarantee you, there's not another one out there like that. And if you just take one from the back as well, because that. And for the viewers at home, yeah. There we go. There we go. So we've got all sorts of viewpoints of it.
It's because then, when it comes to the
Yeah, yeah,
grind,
yeah.
we're just giving it.
Perfect.
Thank you.
There we go. Excellent.
I quite like the idea. What's your view on the raw heads, anyway?
Yeah, I've got no problem with them.
Yeah.
The fact that they go rusty is neither here nor there.
That's been on display
Yeah.
for 18 months.
Yeah.
You can see it.
But having said that, outdoors is even more brutal than being in here.
Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely, I've got no problem with them at all.
Yeah.
I mean, the one thing I will, often have to do is make sure that I keep the grooves clean on this, because this must be 6 or 7 years old. So subsequently, at some stage, it will need replacing. The one thing I like about that is because you've got the slightly bowed leading edge, which is great. That's exactly what I'm looking for.
And do you like that running into these other lofts as well?
It doesn't make any difference. Those wedges are, to be honest, I could use almost any wedge head, as long as it's doing roughly what we've described,
Yeah.
which is 48 and 52. It's just a matter of getting used to them, and then it's the shafts that are going to fit. Prefer steel for these chipping clubs because of the fact that.
Well, you said you wanted it a bit firmer.
Yes.
What's
No,
actually
only
occurred-
on that one,
Only on that one.
Yes.
Interesting. Okay.
because this is the real control club.
Yeah.
And the problem is, what I found that if I've got a 50 or a 60-yard pitch, sometimes it comes off like a rocket.
So the
and
one
then-
I put, because that was a stiff version.
Yeah.
You got regs.
Yeah. I would probably want just the 950 regs in those,
And
but
then
then
a
maybe a
stiff-
slightly stiffer version in that.
Yeah. Just.
But again, it would need to be longer than obviously what you've got here.
Yeah, well, we know that. We know that,
Because
yeah.
when you think about it, that's nearly 2 inches short.
It's not quite there though. It'd be.
Oh, so it's there,
be
right.
about there.
Okay.
But yeah, I get what you mean.
Well, it's still 1.5 inches.
This
Or an
is the
inch
way
and a
I
quarter.
see it. If your pitching wedge on a new build is that,
Yeah,
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 then we run that through.
yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm quite happy with that.
So what it amounts to is that the gap wedge would
You've got
be
options.
3/4 of an inch
because
longer.
the beauty of it is, if I want to hit it a little bit less, I just go down 1/2 inch
Yeah,
or 1 inch.
yeah,
So
Yeah.
this is where I can sort of see where the 45-inch right the way across the clubs, I can sort of see how it works. I hated the idea actually, but because that
This
makes
one
it,
is a little bit shorter.
yes, it is, but only a little
by a
bit.
quarter.
Yeah,
Yeah. So this is what I see. 36 1/4.
yeah,
From pitching wedge all the way through
Yeah.
to 52.
yeah,
Then 36, which is 1 inch longer for a lob wedge.
yeah.
On that lob.
But you see, the beauty of it is that you can go to here, or you can go right up to the top. It depends. So now I've got options. and it increases the number of options I've got with the club, which I think, to be honest, people who've got a 60-degree wedge that's as short as it is, there's only one real shot you've got. That's it. You haven't got much option.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting
that's
listening
just
to you talk about short game, because it's a little bit more involved than the average conversation we have.
I'm not surprised at that. I'm a very involving sort of individual. But anyway, so, right, good.
So this is the way I see it. I quite like the idea of those Clevelands.
Yeah, okay. I've got no problem with that.
48, 52, a 56 well, 56 I think you should play with it. It's much in the same fashion as it is now.
Yeah.
We know what we're going to do grind-wise with it. We know where the lengths are.
So
it's going to run heavy.
Rather than increase the bounds,
it's going to be heavy.
Rather than increase the bounds, so like I've done here, I've got a 46 that becomes 58.
More standard bounce on 48 and 52.
Yeah.
And it's that very low bounce off the.
I don't want too low, because
No.
I don't want it to dig in when I'm doing the chip and runs.
Let's see if I can find another head to do a test with.
It's not so much for the full length, because the full length's easy. If there's more bounce, it's not a problem. But those are decreased lofts, which then means that it's going to be more bounce.
Yeah.
So from my point of view, I don't mind having a bit more bounce on the gap wedges.
That's fine. That's fine. But I'm just going to get you to hit a couple of. I'm going to find the lie board. Here is more their mid bounce.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it just gives me an idea of what to give us.
Is that a pitching wedge?
This is
shaft.
Yeah. But just for the, let me grab the lie board. Wherever it is.
Quite like this.
Yeah.
That's quite close.
Well, that's
Wow.
also the Cleveland. Yeah.
That's quite close. Because if that's genuinely 56, take a degree off and make it half a degree flatter,
I was going to do one more.
or a degree flatter.
Yeah. Just get.
That's not far away.
Obviously with my TV rights and all that. Yes, that's again good reason why.
If you make that a degree flatter, and you make it degree stronger,
You take a bit
that's
of bounce
not
off.
that's actually not far off.
Yeah, and that's,
as it is.
and that's deemed as their mid.
Wow.
And you get that in a raw, and we can then do a little bit.
Well, I don't mind that head. That's fine.
Yeah. Just hit a couple of chips off
Okay.
there for us, just to get
As
a
in
feel for
chips
strike.
or full length.
Just your stock greenside chip.
Okay. Stay. Actually, I don't need that, do I? I don't want to ruin those nice balls. Oh, I'll just hit a normal one.
Just to get a feeling of strike point on the sole, and what way we want to go in terms of the optimum bounce for Gary. So it's pretty much on the knuckle.
Yeah,
I'm just going to show for the purposes of our friends. You can just pick that up there. There's a strike point just on that knuckle. Okay. You do need a little bit less on it.
Yeah.
We know that.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
that's
It's
but
close.
that's easy.
It's close.
And no disrespect, the aesthetics, as long as it works, I really don't care, because you can buff it to make it, like we've done with the one
Well,
that
it's
I've
interesting
got.
your reaction to when I gave you this,
Yeah.
even though it's in the mid.
Yeah, but it's
You've enjoyed
56. Well, the fact is that the actual look of the head is not a million miles away.
From where?
You make that a degree flatter, and then you make it
1 degree stronger.
1 degree stronger. I think it would just about not far off.
A little bit of work.
A little bit.
I would soften up.
It would, but it wouldn't need much.
I'd personally just soften that up a little bit for you.
And then you can actually
again,
blend.
where you would just.
But then you blend the other two wedges, the other two gap wedges, with that head, I'm sure they must do a fairly good variety of lofts.
They do.
So that then makes it actually work together.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
yeah, I quite like that.
Well, chrome. I mean, it then becomes another argument: the chrome or the raw.
Not worried. As long as they look the same.
Yeah.
I quite like the chrome. I have to
Yeah.
be entirely honest.
Well, let's do chrome.
I quite like the chrome.
Yeah.
Looks all right. The only thing, yes, that's right. Yes, the only thing
Just
is
in
that you
working
notice
it,
with
though,
the raw,
you-
you
yeah.
notice the more bowed leading edge. But that looks way too lofty. I hate the look of that.
No.
But if you put that in a 56, then
Yeah,
it might
yeah.
be that it would look a lot better.
Yeah.
See what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Which is what you got there.
You make it 1 degree flatter, 1 degree stronger, and all of a sudden you're maybe not far off having a very workable club.
It's a subtle change after
Yeah,
that.
that is subtle, as you say, and then a little bit of grind.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, I like that.
So 48, 52.
See, we've outworked everyone else. One's left. Have we got much time left? Because I'd like to look at the fairways.
Yeah. Well, let's do that next.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's do that now. Right.
We're okay with that discussion, though.
Yeah, absolutely. First
Yeah.
class, absolutely perfect. Right. Now, again, TS2. It's an old shaft,
Yeah,
Diamana to 62 gram. I've got a driver shaft which is 55. So I quite like the incremental change of swing weights.
Yeah.
Okay. Now the
Well,
one,
that's logic.
yeah,
That's logic.
it is logic, absolutely. I've used these for ages and ages. I got some TSI 2s, and I found that they were less workable. The TSI 2 3 wood, or 3 metal, I always get that wrong, used to go really long. I quite liked it, but then I found that off the fairway it wasn't as quite as usable.
Spin.
Um,
That only really is, for me, probably highlighting the spin element of it. In that it's long off a tee peg,
Yeah.
but not as usable off the deck.
Okay.
Tends to suggest that the spin number was on the low side.
Yeah.
Let's get that ball out the way there, and we'll hit some. We're going to move TrackMan back to where we
was.
were.
But this is now again. These were made up. It was just like a spur of the moment. They cut them long. So these are both longer than standard, I think, for fairway woods. Not a great deal of difference between the two, the 5 and the 3.
So
That's the
3.
3.
3 wood. Simon did say that you were experimenting at the time with a longer,
Much longer shaft.
yeah,
driver.
half-inch longer
Yeah.
than standard.
Yeah.
Yeah, 43 and a half on that.
So again, it's then the situation of the rescue, because the 3-iron goes quite a bit further if I want to, the 5-iron. I've had to change my 4 rescue to what would be a 3 rescue, or 3 hybrid, but then put 1 degree more loft on it.
Yeah.
So that it then goes 5-iron, 4 rescue. There's not a huge amount of difference between the 5-iron and this, except when I want to manipulate it, and then I can hit it further,
Okay.
which is me all
Have a
over.
look at that.
Yeah. So again, that's the hybrid shaft.
So essentially got this around 20 degrees.
It should be
as a
20.
loft.
I'd
Yeah.
be interested to know what it is, actually, as I would be interested in what the lofts are of these two, because I've, again, fiddled about with this. I've made this a degree stronger.
C2.
It's a degree stronger and flatter.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
Yeah.
combination
Yeah.
of yeah. It's not
So it works at the moment-ish, but again, I'd love to have something that becomes more.
Well, let's hit some shots.
Yeah, okay.
Let's hit the 3.
Hit
Yeah.
3 first. Okay.
Yeah. Let's start with
Gosh,
that.
Putting me straight into the 3. Oh, dear me. You're a hard taskmaster, you are. Right. Oh, I haven't hit. And that's my bad one, and that's what I'm sort of struggling with, is a slightly thinny one.
Okay.
Okay? I'll try and change that. It does happen every now and again. Slightly better.
A little bit more contact on.
Yeah.
So it's quite a strong spin off that. 2.9 as a spin. Wouldn't want any lower than that.
No.
Nice smash.
That wasn't my best swing. Funnily enough, the driver is where I get my best smash.
Well, you'd like to think so.
No, I always do. It's 150.
Yeah. Well, the last two have been 150 and 149.
Right.
So
okay, well that's good if that's
Yeah.
the case. So the shaft obviously it must be about right then, for the weight of the head and.
it's something you've enjoyed, isn't it?
Yeah.
Bottom line.
Yeah. Well, it's old.
I-
Like me. A bit like old slippers. Oh, bugger off. Oh, excuse my French.
a little bit underneath it on that one.
Yeah, that's my bad one.
Bottomed out a little bit early there. A bit of a drop kick.
Thanks. Go on, tell me how it is. Go on, just tell me you drop kick that, you crap. Sorry, I've got to be careful what I say, haven't I?
That sounded solid.
A bit more solid, yeah.
Yeah, that's a
But it's
nice-
good off a T-peg.
Well, that's a very, very good number.
Is it?
You wouldn't want it any stronger in spin.
No.
If you looking at sort of 3,000 there, 12 and a half, it's just 150 smash. Not much left in the locker. I would say off the T-peg, it's a real performer.
Yeah, it is.
It's exactly what you said. You at times, if you miss it a little bit, you lose your number.
If I'm looking for a full distance, I'll actually hit the driver off the deck rather
That's
than
only
3 wood.
69 feet.
Yeah, which
So-
is too low.
It's just a little bit on the low side.
Now, if I increase the loft, it goes closed.
Yeah. Right. So, in other words,
Unless I went to C4 on that
do
one
you
as well.
enjoy seeing, let's say, a little bit more of that like that? It's good on your eye. Not anything remotely close.
I don't mind closed, but it's not got to go left.
No.
You see, that's where this one, I've increased the loft, but because it's B1, or now C4, it was B1, because it's flatter, it actually then looks square. You see what I mean?
Yeah, it feels like the face is away from you, or the
Yes.
head's away from you a little bit.
So
and
the
therefore-
added loft, which obviously does that to
yeah,
it,
compensate by
It
it going away.
compensates, exactly.
Yeah.
So
rather
I
than
love the look of-
upright and closed.
Yeah.
It freaks you out a little bit.
it would definitely freak me out.
Yeah.
So, for instance, with this, because it is what it is, it's quite easy to hit. So that's quite easy to hit. Okay, it wasn't perfect. It was a bit hard.
Hit a couple more of that.
Okay.
I'm just going to fire up. There you go. That's solid. That must have felt good.
So the shaft I feel happy with.
That's a nice number.
Yeah. It's a good number because it fits in with the 5-iron.
Yeah.
So then, the 4-iron...
Well, based on a projection of numbers, I see you from what we achieved earlier, it's going to be more the 175 carry on the 5-iron.
Yeah, that's about almost spot on. And I can obviously hit it further because I can get it to
Yeah,
chase off
yeah.
if I want to. Same with this. I mean, if I push this slightly back in the stance and just close it in a fraction, I can get this chasing out miles relatively. So it gives me that option.
That was low.
Low, but it should be chasing in with a draw.
Yeah. Oh, no. You know what you're doing.
Well, but you see what I mean? So I then can hit that further, and I can do that with this, but less so. So there was less of a gap. So that's why I've made this a bit stronger, because it was 18. I'm not sure it is 18. I think that was a bit more. But
Have we got our wood Yeah, we've got it over there, haven't we? Our wood. Is that up and running?
Loft lie.
Loft lie wood. I haven't used it in a little while, but
So, again, the beauty of this is I tend to grip it half inch down anyway.
Right.
But it gives me that comfort zone that I'm not having to grip it right at the end. But it also
that's
gives...
something you like full stop, isn't it? Really?
But it gives me the option that if I do grip it right on the end, it's going to go a lot higher. So I have that option as well. But, you know, the fact that this is quite a nice club to hit because it feels right. Oh, get off, Gary. It would be if I hit it properly. Come on, concentrate.
That's cleaner.
So, nice club, and
Dare I say it though, for where they are, the optimum strike with the 3 and the optimum strike with that, there's not much difference in the carry, you know.
no, that's the problem.
Because what you've created is a little bit more launch and spin, and for where your ball speed is, it just stays in the air. There's another 10 foot or so in the height.
Yeah.
And so yes, there's more rollout with the 3 for sure.
Yes. And that's the only real difference between the two. And that's where I'm just wondering whether, going back to the TSI 3, because it's a slightly hotter face, to be fair, but
Yeah.
maybe the SR, the new TSR, might go a little bit further.
What I wanted to touch on really initially was more of an optimum performer for
Yeah.
the 3.
Yeah,
Yeah?
I agree.
So I'm going to put something together
Okay.
and we'll go from there.
Yeah, perfect.
All right?
Yeah.
Do not take a look at this club.
Right, I shan't look at it. How am I going to hit it, though, if I can't look at it?
I just don't want you to see the spec of it.
All right, all right. But it has to be usable off the tee as well as the...
Oh yeah, I'll take that on board.
Presumably, as you've gone down the TrackMan route, presumably you feel these are the most accurate systems.
Yeah. I mean, committed early, and they're very good, you know, in terms of looking after us and any updates and any discussions.
Well, it's got to be a good advert for them, hasn't it? Didn't get that. Right.
Now, the only
Shan't
thing
look at
the only thing I will say is this is more your standard length here.
Oh, right.
All
Okay.
right.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Well, it feels
that's-
heavy enough.
That's where you're. I don't want to use the word quirky, but you're slightly different.
I
to-
am definitely quirky. You can say it. I'm absolutely quirky as hell.
TSR. And away we go.
I have to say, I do like the look of the head. Head's great looking.
Just a hair low on the head, actually.
Yes, it was.
Yeah?
Yeah. Right, concentrate.
Nice.
I driven the green yet? Say no.
Well, hit a couple more.
Okay.
I think what that's done for me, over and above your own one, it's suddenly a better fairway club.
Yeah. A little bit skinny.
It wasn't too shabby. Now, let's say you hit that with your current 3.
Right.
Let's know that contact you just had.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
When you look at that, what you saw as a miss,
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't see that as a miss, because that matches up with the same carry as your current 3.
Right.
I gave you a 16.5 head there.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I did see that
Yeah.
without me looking, of course.
It's just a little bit more lofted.
Yeah.
I did say you're borderline too low.
Yeah.
I know what you're saying
I
about
am.
pegging it up, and
Yeah.
you create dynamic loft by pegging it up.
Yeah. Let's just see. Oh, Gary, don't do that. That's annoying. That was a bad shot. I'm just seeing if I can increase the loft through manipulation, but we'll have to. I've got to just slow it down, the backswing, that's all. And then hopefully, I thin it. Because I keep looking up, that's my problem. And that's why I think I'm not performing as well with this.
But what I want to give you this
Something that's easier to use off the deck.
just a straightforward stock shot that
Yeah.
you don't have to work too hard for. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense, absolutely.
That was a
That's
good
toey.
contact.
It was toey.
Was it?
Yeah.
But it actually gave you a half decent number.
Yeah.
Yeah?
So, yeah, the fact is that it's for me to improve my swing rather than necessarily make the club work. Do you see what I mean? So the TSR-2 wood at 15, I might well be able to make that work.
Should we try it?
Yeah, go on, let's
Put
try
the
it.
head on.
Yeah, yeah. Let's just try it.
Yeah.
Do you want to? Oh, you can't use that. Can't use that shaft. What shaft have you got in that one? Just out of interest.
I can. You want to use your shaft on the up-to-date head?
I was just going to say.
Yeah, we can. If I can find the correct screw, we
Yeah.
can do that.
Oh, right,
Yeah.
okay.
If I scout about. Sure
The only problem is, can you get something similar to that anymore?
is what I gave you.
Oh, is it? Oh, perfect. There we go.
That's why. Same.
Oh, well,
same
don't,
weight,
no,
same,
just make it up
same-
like that then.
Yeah, yeah. It's very, very close in weight and balance
Yeah, yeah.
and
And launch, yeah. Oh, it's only a matter of slowing down the backswing.
that's a nice number.
Yeah,
That's one of your better ball speeds. huh?
yeah. Unfortunately, that's the idiot at the rubbery end. I want to hit it long, hard. Ugh. Do you ever see Tool Time?
No.
It was a American sitcom, and he always used to go like that if he had to do something manly. Tim, I was going to say Tim the Toolman Taylor or something. That was in the program anyway. Oh, was he?
Okay.
Right, let's just hit one more. Tim Allen. You
I
got
know
it.
him,
Well
yeah.
done.
He was in
Get
that
you in the
Christmas
quiz.
film.
Oh, let's thin it. Bugger. Hate this game.
There we are.
Great. Do you know, this is just me as a specific and slightly off the wall, which is me all over. Why the hell do they cover the face with black paint? Make it silver, makes it look a lot easier to use. Why the hell do they make it look black? It's the hardest thing to
The
look
way the
at.
whole market's gone.
But does that make it right? No, it doesn't. It's like when TaylorMade made white heads. Whoa, sold the club fantastically. But it also framed the ball well, and you could see
But that's
exactly.
still a black face.
Yes, but with a white head.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean? So you knew where you were aiming.
A lot of it
I
falls
still-
down to score lines, because when you look at the ping fairways,
Yeah.
they do a very good job of highlighting their score lines. And the score lines, what you see on your eye, it looks more lofted than it really is. So you see forgiveness.
So unless you're Hideki Matsuyama and then your coach has put white lines on and he gets disqualified.
All right. I didn't hear that. No.
Yeah, that was a beauty. I don't know who called in. Somebody must have called in, or one of the pros has said something. Right. Okay. I'm going to crush this one. Oh, nearly. Just looked a bit too soon.
Yeah, just a bit of ground.
Peaked.
A little bit
peaked.
of ground.
I peaked.
Just took the spin off it a bit.
Yeah. I peaked. Come on, turn. Ooh, skinny. What a pity. Come on.
I still think that just that fraction more loft on
Would make a
something.
difference. Well,
Not necessarily the 16. Let's say I took the 16.5 head and de-lofted it 1.
Yeah.
Which would give you a really nice face angle. Yeah.
okay.
Make it quite neutral.
Is that flatter, that 16? Did you set it up flatter?
Didn't do anything with the lie. Purely set up. You want it flatter?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because they all have to be flatter.
But I'll take a little bit of loft off of it as well.
Okay.
Yeah?
Okay, well, that's fine. But they have to be flatter
Because I
because I'm
definitely-
using B1 at the moment to match up with the
Yeah.
irons and the rescue.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah.
See, the 3 wood is B1.
Yeah.
And then the 5 wood is C2 rather, which is 1 degree strong and 1 degree flatter.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Right.
This could be it. All of a sudden, hitting it 300 yards. Not. I quite like the look of that. I have to be honest.
this is
I do
not
prefer
like
the-
for like, because this
No.
is not the tightest sleeve, so it's not quite a level playing field.
All right.
However,
It's as close as.
I could find that correct screw to put into your head,
Oh right.
and then we can use it in that setting.
Okay.
Yeah, which is for me
It then-
combination of less loft and flat this occasion. So it's more, just a little bit more loft on it than the standard 3.
Right.
Yeah?
Perfect. Okay.
That's what that is there now. Okay.
Wow.
How's that look?
Yeah. Fine. It feels light, but it's not bad.
Well, it's because yours been made longer. It feels heavier.
Ooh, nearly.
Yeah.
That was nearly.
Loft is forgiveness here, though, Gary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't I know it?
It is.
I need-
It's safer.
No, look, come on. I'm a masochist
When
in
you
the
get-
extreme because I played professional golf. I played top amateur golf as well, which is even more masochistic because you don't get paid for it. But at the end of the day, if it lofts your friend, I've got to learn how to use it, and that's the hard part. All right, come on, get off your right side, keep the rhythm. Oh no, came out of it. This is where it gets hard. Driver gets easy again.
Just hit a couple of shots, and I'm going to give you a comparison of shaft here as well.
Ooh, that was nearly. Nearly. Turn onto it. Turn onto it. Turn onto it. No.
Still, yeah, that, for me, I just sense your delivery, your lines are not quite there.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Just for the purpose of the people at home.
In other words, you're
I'm
rubbish.
using now Graphite Design VR6 of a similar weight to what Gary enjoys, but just as a change of feel a little bit. That was a better line. on
Slightly
that one.
better, yeah. Right, come on then.
That was quite a nice number, actually.
See, I need to see the carry increase.
I know.
but without...
If you saw 210 there, you'd be quite happy, though,
Oh,
wouldn't you?
210 would be perfect. But I don't want it to be just loft and no run. Do you see what I mean? I'm still wanting
you want the combo.
Yeah, yeah.
You want the combo.
Yeah.
But for me, the initial launch, if we get the spin right and you get the initial launch up a little bit,
Yeah.
much in the same effect when we have, the discussion with the irons.
Yeah, absolutely.
Same sort of comparison there, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's good. I love the old Arnold Palmer helicopter finish.
See, I actually think, in many respects, we're using the TSR2, but the principle of a little bit more loft on it, we might just fall back to a TSR3 head with the extra loft. Yeah.
See, that's 206 carry. It's getting closer. But spin rate's low. Mind you, that means it runs out. Was it really?
I'm hoping someone's not damaged the thread of this. I was quite reluctant to go in.
Or was it? Ooh, there we go.
Don't speak too soon.
Yeah, oh, come on. I love speaking too soon.
There you go.
There we go. That feels really light, I might add. But that felt great off the club face.
Well, it's not a bad start. It really isn't a bad start, that.
That's the best hit I've hit.
Yeah, it sounded very, very sweet. Just a little bit underneath it.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, pity.
Yeah, just looked like you bottomed out a little bit early on that,
The
Gary.
club face was...
Again, look at that. As, it's not in directional terms, the face was a little bit shut. But what this spec gives us is it stays in the air on the miss.
Right, I'll straighten it out.
I'm going to grab that TSR3 head in a similar loft.
Yes, that might be better.
Yeah.
Oh, swing inside, that's why it's going left.
He hopes, anyway.
Manipulation. Right. Oh, so annoying, this game. Let's go.
What do you make it feel of that compared to the first shaft?
I think it feels light, but it actually feels okay.
Okay.
Nearly.
That's quite nice, that. Yeah? So, working on the principle of hair more loft on it, but with a good strong spin characteristic.
Yeah.
So you're
Get that combination.
combination, yeah?
I mean, the good thing is that with the driver, instead of hitting the 3-wood on occasion, it's I can always hit a soft driver.
You won one of the seniors around the Kinter, didn't you?
I did.
Benavich.
Benahavis.
Benavis, yeah, always.
I played with Mark James in the last round, which was nice. And then they had a conversation the following week. Would he have done any good on the European Tour? And Mark was very kind. He said, "Yeah, we thought you'd still do okay on the European Tour had you been playing, but that just wasn't my drive at that time." It's only when England decided not to use me anymore and GB I thought, well, what am I going to do now? I won my last tournament with 4 rounds in the 60s around Rotherham. And I thought, well, I'm still playing all right. What am I going to do? So then I went on the Europro tour for a couple of years.
Yeah, won one of those as well.
I won one of those at Stoke-by-Nayland, and then the good thing about that is it worked into turning professional on the seniors, because my first event was at Woburn, which was the first event after my birthday, which was late August, which was September, and I'd won, I think, in the July on the Europro. So I was obviously, I got that good positive vibe. Finished third, tied third, which then automatically gave me the next event, even though they told me I was only allowed 1 invite, which actually isn't true. You can actually have 3. So they'd lied to me. And then I got the next event was 2 weeks later in Kotna Hora, or near there, in the Czech Republic, and I won the tournament. So they then couldn't get rid of me. Not for 2 years anyway. Right, so
really, I mean, keeping to the principles of before, what we want is that the launch angles we were getting, but with just a slightly strong spin number off of it.
yeah.
Yeah?
That's the first one after the chitter chatter. This feels slightly heavier, which is better.
Okay.
Come on, concentrate. A little bit wooden. Little bit wooden. Come on. Turn through it. There we go. Head came loose.
I thought it might do that.
That was a decent hit.
It was. I mean, well, I'd love to put another 7 on it, but it is one of our better numbers. What it's actually done is taken the spin off. So the combination of the little bit more loft on the 3 this time, with a head that's a little bit lower spinning, that combination of higher launch and a strong spin, still use it off the tee very nicely.
Yeah. Well, it would be for the downwind stuff, or if I wanted to limit how far I was actually going to hit the driver, potentially. The opening tee shot in Ireland is a good example, is a 3-wood, and it's just suited my eye as well. The driver would run out if I slaughtered it, so subsequently...
This is where I'm going to try and pop your shaft into that head that we've just done there, yeah?
Yeah.
Because I do think that just that little bit more loft on it,
yeah,
as long as the spin is strong.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What was that in setting?
It was
C2?
C2, yeah.
C2, yeah.
Is that the 5-wood? It's B1 if it's the 3-wood.
Oh, that was,
It's
sorry.
B1
Yeah.
if it's the 3-wood.
Let's just pop that one back in. I'm going to use your 3 shaft, yeah? For the purpose of the exercise.
Yeah. That's B1. C2's was the 5-wood.
B1, I'm trying to remember what that is.
It's 1 degree flat.
But we want to take a little bit of loft off as well, don't we? Just
So that's C2 then. That's 1 degree loft. That's the most, allegedly the most open it can be. But I tend to then get it so that it sits square. Oh, the TV will be turned off in 1 minute due to the TV's auto power off settings. You've been on too long. Oh, it's gone now.
It's not a reminder.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, you've been here too long. Hurry up.
Right, now, this is, can I find the screw?
Oh, this is going to be the key thing.
This is the key. Where's your shaft? That is probably it. Go for myself up. There's that.
And we're just going for the TSR3 driver. Well, forget about the rest.
C2, and we want that in there.
Now I have to be very careful what I say.
This will feel heavy
Right, fine.
because of the length.
Yeah, but don't forget, I don't always grip it that full
no,
length. So.
and I mean, I do fancy it will play a little bit nicer at the by gripping it down, Gary.
Yeah. That's the sail.
Okay. A little bit slower in club speed, that is. But the actual quality, the flight combination
Yeah.
of that launch and spin.
Yeah.
Yeah?
It's just, I'd love...
Nice direction.
Yeah.
Nice direction. Very neutral on the lines there.
Yeah.
A little bit more height.
No, don't. Me trying to swing longer. I should do, but... come on.
Just that was a little bit low on the head, maybe?
It was, definitely.
Yeah.
My pet hate.
Well, that looked good.
Nearly. Bit toey.
But your lines look nice there through
Yeah.
the swing. That's what I'm looking for as well. Is I want it to look neutral. Yeah?
Yeah.
That's what that looked.
A little bit toey, but that's drawy.
Yeah,
Oh,
well,
that's
it
nice.
spins off that,
Yeah.
so it's a bit of a knuckleball there.
I don't mind. That's sometimes quite a useful shot.
Yeah, but again, what the saviour is the loft.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
on that particular shot.
I released it early, but it was a decent strike.
The slight irony is you seem to get slightly better ball speeds off one of the shafts that I gave you. Whether your
Certainly,
club
this
speed, 'cause that
shaft with
swing's
my
heavy.
head was the longest I've hit. So whether that's just the combo, but yeah, maybe, quite maybe. But it's
what
which
I
one?
think, I would say what we haven't tried. I still think that is in quite a nice place for you
Right.
as a replacement
Yeah,
for what you've got.
yeah,
What we haven't done is tried this setting with that shaft because I introduced
okay.
TSR.
Yeah.
I introduced TSR3,
no
didn't
problem.
I?
Yeah, absolutely.
So
yeah, let's go with it.
then it's more all options covered. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. No problem at all.
How are we doing for time? Sorry. Yeah.
Haven't you gone yet? It's just the TV. It's just come up with another signal.
How's it? No.
Well, in Cumbria, it's 11 degrees and raining. Lovely.
A little bit of.
It's not fair. It's always warmer down here.
A little bit of surgery. Get that
It's
screw
funny,
out.
I always used to say, a friend of mine who used to live in Glasgow, he used to photosynthesize as soon as he came over the border. Because it was, without fail, minimum 4 degrees difference between Scotland and London. Minimum.
I was going to be quite naughty and say he wasn't red-headed, was he?
Funnily enough, no, but his name was Craig Watson, a lovely guy. Brilliant. He won the amateur. He beat Trevor Impelman in the final at St George's, I think it was.
Oh, Craig.
Craig Watson, his name was.
Right.
He became Walker Cup captain, which was nice for him. But lovely guy, so laid back, it was unbelievable. We played a Walker Cup at Quaker Ridge, and he and another Scot just basically didn't do any work at lunchtime onwards. They just sat down eating donuts, watching the TV. And the rest of us all sat there sweating away, hitting ball after ball after ball. And it didn't do us any good because we got absolutely slaughtered.
Right, let's see this work.
Okay,
Yeah?
let's see this work. Wow. Right.
C6.
Okay. Turn onto it. Oh, it was inside the line. Come on, concentrate. Not too bad though for a miss it.
Yep.
Outside. Decent hit.
Yep. That's strong there, Gary. So what you've got there, I'm not saying it's changed the world in carry terms, but you've got that combination of a slightly healthier launch and that strong spin.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit more rollout this time round.
Oh, not quite.
That's going to be a nice one. There she is. That's one of the better numbers.
Right.
Yeah?
Wasn't my bestest swing.
That is a better combination.
No, inside the line again. Stop it.
A little bit handsy?
Yeah, that's how I manipulate when I know I'm out of sync.
Yeah, yeah. It's trying to save it.
Better swing, full stop.
Yep. So what we're getting, I'm not saying it's radically different, but I think it's a little bit safer in having that loft. The spin number is definitely strong with this head.
Mm.
Yeah?
Yeah. I'm still not getting.
No, the
sort
carry.
of the 210 is still not getting it.
And it. The only way forward, the club speed's got to change. Unfortunately.
I'll just get in to do some press-ups then. That's fine, don't worry.
But have you met Kate?
Yeah, yes, right. Let me tell you. No, all right, I'm not going to say what I was
I
going to say.
jest, but there's not much left in the locker according to the ball speed there.
That's
The spin number is definitely stronger off the TSR3 head. Yeah?
Right.
And I think you're a little bit safer on strike with that shaft I've just given you. It's a little bit more of what you're used to be fair, in profile. It feels similar, doesn't it?
See, the problem is that it's like anything. The shaft that you're used to just isn't made anymore. So then you constantly, and this is where I find the whole thing very frustrating, is that there aren't that many options to be able to try all the different shafts. Here is one of the few places you can actually do that.
Yeah. They're both Mitsubishis. The old Diamana S Plus, which was a stock shaft for Titleist and Callaway.
Yeah. Which is what this is.
We always say stock shaft. It was
a
one
bit
of the
more than-
custom
yeah,
shafts.
yeah,
Yeah.
But these were regulars.
The C6 is.
See, these are regulars. So, again, I fluttered between stiff and regular depending on the manufacturer because there is no industry medium. And that's the tricky bit.
Do you
and
know,
that's where your advice becomes so important.
James would agree with me here in that the flex is a slightly overplayed feature of a shaft. The balance, profile, weight are the elements that for me are more critical.
Yeah.
Feel terms, the flex, most definitely.
Yeah. Love that. It's the problem I've got is that there really isn't anything yet. They do talk about the tailor-made titanium head, Stealth
Plus.
Stealth Plus, and they reckon that's super long, which is fine. But then how does that fit in with everything else that you've got in your bag? There's no point in having a massive gap between your 5 wood or 5 metal and your super long...
My gut feeling would be that, let's say a standard 15-degree Stealth Plus might be just... Again, it's that one where I'd want a little bit more loft on it.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's interesting.
That was nice.
That was better. It wasn't great, but it wasn't...
No, it's nice.
That's
it's
good.
Nice.
I've hit it dead straight and I've hit it out in the middle. So
Bang middle, loft and spin. You know when we said, you know when I highlighted that shot that you caught a good strike with, and I said, that's nice, but it's 3,000 spin.
Yeah.
It could do with just a little bit more in the way of launch and spin.
Yeah.
Which is where that number is there.
Right, so do I then go the opposite way with the 3-wood and put more loft on?
What, on yours?
Yeah, the problem I had was that the 5-wood was going very high when I was hitting it properly.
Yeah.
And so I didn't feel that there was a smooth transition between rescue, which was going probably a little bit lower.
Which we know the number's nice on.
Yeah, and that I don't want to change that. But what I then wanted to do is try and get something, and this wasn't going a lot further, but it was going a lot higher. So subsequently, this is why I switched it to C2, and I got a better flight, and it went a little bit further, which was great.
Yeah.
Comparatively, the 3-wood, the hard part is then finding. You know, for instance, I've got to hit 3-wood. If I've got to make a really, really good contact, funny enough, I seem to be able to, sometimes anyway, really do it. And I just close the club face a fraction, and then it's just back in the stance. At the moment, I'm just pushing it back in my stance to try and make a better contact. But then I've got to concentrate on taking it more outside the line. And then that's a much better contact.
Yeah. Well, that's a strong old... It's not done anything for carry.
No, it won't do because I'm closing the club face down.
That's 57 feet, and it's a chaser.
But that's what I have to play.
Yeah.
If I have to hit a high one, then the high carry. The problem is the high carry. Yes, I can hit it higher because I just open up the stance a little bit, open up the club face a fraction, and then.
That's a nice sort of
well,
soft,
but all of a sudden it's a much higher shot,
yeah,
but it doesn't go as far.
Well, it won't. It's a very good application of taking 15 yards off of it. And
well, that's fine until I don't want to do that. I actually want to carry the water or the bunker or whatever. So then do I take the risk? If it's a bunker, I'm happy to take the risk of going in the bunker. I'm obviously not happy about taking the risk of going into the water. So then it's about, can I actually take the risk of a one-off shot over water to carry? Sometimes I just feel right about it if the lie's decent. I mean, you know, the lies here are a little bit sort of tighter looking.
Since you touched on that Stealth Plus head, I'd be interested to see where the numbers are with the free head.
Absolutely.
Yeah?
Let's try it.
Just to see it, you know. It could blow us away.
Well, it could be an option.
But, you know, I want a little bit more height and I want a little bit more forgiveness in it. So
yeah. Just not. I have days where it's better than others. I mean, the problem is hitting lots and lots of shots probably doesn't help a lot. Bit heely. Not a bad shot. Let's see if I can get that over 200.
I mean,
I've had one in sort of 208, 209, which was fine. And that's really what I'm looking for. Can't expect any more than that, really. Just got to marry up the swing speed on the way back with the takeaway. If I can do that, then normally I can hit it pretty straight.
Okay, there she is.
Okay, let's go with it.
Just left that standard at the moment.
Okay.
Just as a start point, yeah?
Yeah.
How did that feel?
I felt fine.
Yeah.
decent strike and.
Similar sort of number. What's nice about that is that actually that last shot just launched at 14 degrees.
Yeah.
You can see the spin number.
Yeah.
Yeah. Slightly better combination.
Yes,
but it's
I
still,
agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Definitely
it's
agree.
not. It's not sort of change. It's not changing. It's not changing drastically in ball speed.
No.
It's not.
Well, that's
If
interesting,
you
isn't it?
found suddenly a 133 ball speed, we'd get
Yeah.
excited, wouldn't we?
Yeah, because all I finish up trying to do is hit it harder and harder and harder,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
doesn't help.
I don't think that's for me. I don't think that head is as forgiving.
No.
For the way I'd set it up, I just think there's a safe. You've got a drop kick there that's came up the air 17 yards earlier on that one.
Well, that was a much better hit.
That's a better number. That is a nicer number.
Yeah. And that's, 204, so it's getting close to what mine can do.
But you picked up the pace a little bit on that one as well.
Well, but
Club swing.
it didn't feel as though I was doing a lot different, apart from the swing was slightly better.
No. So
Tricky.
It is tricky.
So what you're saying is that I've got to be looking at something like 2.8 spin rate and ball speed at
as long as the
130.
130 is the benchmark ball speed. Let's just, for argument's sake, say it was 13 and a half launch
Yeah.
with something hugging that 3,000 spin.
That would be the perfect scenario.
Yeah, that would be where I'd want it.
But there is a
but it has to-
limitation to my physicality,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
So it's about, it doesn't look as though I'm going to find anything that's going to make that much of a difference. We've tried a couple of different combinations there.
Yeah.
We tried TSR3, TSR2, and we now tried the Stealth. I mean, the fact is, the Stealth probably sort of felt quite good, but the figures don't really stack up to being
It's
any
not-
better.
Yeah, that's quite a nice carry on that last one.
Yeah.
But it's more doing what I said we want as a flight profile.
Yeah.
13.8 on the launch angle to.
You see, the thing is, I would agree in non-run scenario, great, because at the end of the day, it's all about carry, all about carry.
Oh yeah.
Majority of the tournaments we're playing this year, it's all about run. Funnily enough,
Yeah.
it's pitch and run. It's actually quality of contact, ball speed, in particular. So the ball speed becomes the key thing. The quality of the strike becomes the key thing, because then it's about hitting it line and then seeing it scamper out. And that's what we've played. Extraordinarily this season, virtually, I would say 3/4 of the events we've played have played like links. Firm running, either links golf per se or Heathland golf, a bit like Glen Eagles, where there was a bit of run on the ball. And, that then became the factor of controlling how far it was going to go. Hard to do when it's bouncy. Are you 100% sure how you're going to hit it? No. So subsequently, you don't really know how far it's going to go on landing. You might slaughter it and it goes 20 yards further. It can do. So this year's been very difficult for me, because the uncertainty of windy, bouncy conditions or breezy, bouncy conditions, and then not getting that control of where the ball's landing and where it's finishing. And that's hard for me, particularly when it gets extremely bouncy and extremely breezy. That then becomes really hard, and then it really is down to, well, how good is your guesswork or guesstimate? So subsequently, I struggled this year because of that as much as anything. And that's where, now we're looking at trying to increase how the ball carries. How often am I really factoring in? There's a couple of holes at, there's the last hole in Mauritius. There's water. It's par 5. Do I go for it or don't I? Take the risk into the wind. On occasions when I'm swinging really well, great. And I can get it to the front edge and then of course it's usually a 4. But then I'm usually hitting a 5-iron and a pitching wedge, or a lob wedge,
It's
or
funny
gap
you
wedge.
mention that hole because I remember Roger having that same conversation about that hole.
Well, I
at
played with
18.
him when he should have won, basically, you know, against David Frost. And you know, the fact is, you know, he's that last hole is made for him. He's a great driver of the ball, wonderful fairway wood hitter, and so subsequently, he can carry. And this is what always impresses me. I played with Bradley Dredge in the Benson Hedges at Forest of Arden, and we're playing. I think I'm going to say the 12th par 5. He's got 275. And he's just comfortably carried it all the way 275, and it's just actually gone through the back edge. And I'm looking at it thinking, how the hell's he done that? There's not in my wildest dreams, I could not do that off the deck. And I watch other players that seem to get this wonderful flight. Okay, they have other skills that I don't have, but they don't have skills I've got. So subsequently, there is a bit of a quid pro quo when you're looking at how the scores are made. But, you know, I'd love to be able to do that. The problem is I'm looking at a club doing it for me, which, I'm sorry, it's down to me. And I have days where I hit it great off the deck and, you know, I can... another hole, the 4th hole, is a par 5. I've actually knocked it on into a couple of times. One in particular, I remember, actually went a bit too far, which is typical. But you've got decent lie to be able to get the ball into the right part of the club face to then get the trajectory, etc., etc. So I happened to be swinging it pretty well that week, and so subsequently. But then the next hole is par 4 into the wind, and I'm hitting 5 wood, and I'm having to hit that absolutely out of my boots to make sure. Not as easy, because you know that unless you do carry it exactly the right distance, it's not going on the green. So then it's how good is your short game.
Yeah.
So, I mean, at the moment, I don't see a huge improvement on this.
No.
And the problem I've got then is, yes, we're going back to what I was saying before about finding a replacement set. Those irons may well be that I finish up, that's what I carry. Wedges and irons maybe is what I carry. And they become my reserve set. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, very much so. Very much so.
I mean, we've talked about the ball, which is really important. The driver...
That was interesting, actually, the ball side of it, you know, with the spin rate change.
You see, the driver side of it, and, you know, I doubt whether... I mean, the new TSR, they're saying, is going to be that much better. But when I hit this properly, the problem is sometimes the lack of spin, it noses out of the air if I don't get it 100% right. But when I do hit it properly, it goes great. And actually, I probably, despite the fact that I've shortened the shaft, because that's 46 now, you know, I've been using 48 up until they changed the rules.
Yeah, an 8th under it.
Yeah, it shouldn't be, because I did specifically ask him not to cut it. It should be an 8 over, not 8th under.
Yeah,
so
I
that
make
just
it
shows you
45 and 7/8.
Yeah, but you know, the fact is that...
Give me a number.
In what respect?
Yeah, driver.
Okay, yeah.
Good lines on that. Very much as described there.
Yeah.
So hot, launches in a really nice place. Yeah?
Yeah.
Offset with a very strong spin knock. If you miss it a little bit, toe side potentially.
Yeah, then it dips
yeah,
a little bit.
yeah,
but
very
that's
much
me
so.
having to hit my best shot. But, you know, I've got this at 9 degrees. I've tried...
your angle of attack
I've
is
tried 10, and yeah, that's the problem.
That's how...
But also I've got that teed up a little bit higher than I would do normally. But
You can turn that down a little bit if you want.
But
yeah, it is what it is. It's hot, the initial launch, it's all the attributes of someone who's very, very strong on their angle of attack.
So,
You know,
it's
your angle of
consistent.
attack is
Yeah,
up.
Yeah.
You get very low, what's known as spin loft.
If I get 225 carry, I'm happy. That's my aspiration.
Good wind driver.
It's a very good wind driver. Interestingly, depending on the circumstances, I can actually hit it further through the air. But this is where we were talking about the comparison between the Pro V1 and the Pro V1X. The X would probably work better with the driver.
I agree. As an average.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As an average.
There'll be times when you prefer that as a ball for the driver.
Oh, definitely. See, I can just open up the club face a little bit, and that creates a little bit more spin. And so subsequently I get slightly more height,
Yeah.
but it doesn't necessarily help me
I mean,
hit it. Doesn't really
the
help.
average, I mean, you're averaging around about 1,800 revs.
Yeah, which is low.
Which is low, but it's not. I'd be very worried if it was at 12 launch.
Yeah.
But it's not the case. You're averaging 16 launch.
Yeah, and
So
it wouldn't
if
normally
you-
have it as high as that
Just to
either.
put-
So,
if you put it in perspective, if you look at,
oh,
you
it's
put-
good where I'm getting the impact. It's good.
yeah. So what it's saying here, based on a carry, you could argue that if it had a couple of hundred revs more, the carry would be more that.
Yeah.
Yeah. As a total, you beat it. But it is very much what we've described. It airs on the side of hot and fast and a good wind driver.
Well, it maintains my direction in the wind as long as I keep my head screwed in.
I mean, I'd probably go as far as to say, if you were on a, let's say, parkland golf, bit softer conditions and everything else, that's when that X would come out.
Yeah. Well, this is what I was thinking, that, for instance, if we go to Seychelles and Mauritius, although it gets breezy, I was thinking that the X might come out because it will be, because it's hotter, the ball feels softer anyway, but I mean, the fact that it will carry just that little bit further.
Yeah. Is it
and-
soft? I mean, the ground conditions.
Yeah, very soft.
Well, there you go. Yeah.
So,
Because that initial launch will be higher,
Yeah.
the spin will be just
Yeah.
a fraction better.
So then
and the ball
that's-
speed, you won't lose a trick in ball speed terms of that ball.
No.
But you can see how close it is to optimum.
Yeah.
It's just, for me, the spin is just a fraction.
too low.
Tad low.
So that then says, well, what about the two, TSI 2? Would that have been a better club? Well, I used to have the TS3, and I've still got that in the garage. But you see, I haven't altered the weight at the back at all in regards of shaping the shots. So subsequently, I've just left it as standard.
This will be our last check.
Okay, right, go on then.
Let me grab a TSR2 head
Yeah,
with the same similar loft, yeah?
yeah.
Just to see what happens to our number.
Because it might actually help me, yeah.
And I'm going to put it straight into
Oh,
your...
right, okay, perfect.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
for
yeah,
like,
yeah.
straight in. Fortunately,
It's
that head's got
C4, I
the
think it is.
B2.
B2, right.
I won't do anything different. All I'm going to do is just like for like.
Has he fallen asleep? No, he's not. Right.
He's probably saying it's the last time he's ever
Our
going to get.
producer.
It's the last time he's ever going to get
Never
me as a
doing this
fitter.
again.
He's going, I've got better things in life.
Yeah, quite right.
There we are. All right, everything the same.
Yeah,
Just TSR2.
2, yeah.
Gut feeling, a little bit, just a little bit more dependable maybe, but see what happens.
That was a bit heely. Slow it down.
If that was a miss, Gary, it wasn't a bad miss.
Yeah, so it was a miss.
Not doing much different. I mean, yes, there's might be just About 150 revs on that one. Yeah.
That's it. It's about the same, is it?
Yeah. It's not worse.
Unfortunately,
It's not worse.
It's
not
the
worse.
idiot at the rubbery end,
What
as
you
I
would
keep saying.
What you would say, with reference to the contact point
Yeah.
here, it's a little bit high and toe. I fancy that same strike point with the other head might knuckleball a bit. That
Yes.
might be the one.
That's right.
I reckon that's probably the one.
So
thing
then
I'm saying
then
favour
I
of
then I peg it
TSR2.
lower.
It's just made it a little bit safer.
Peg it a bit lower, and then all of a sudden it's.
Yeah.
That's about as good as I can hit this.
Yeah. And that's where it's a little bit closer. 15 launch, 2-2 on the spin.
So all I've got to do now is make sure that I don't peg it so high
Just get a little...
with the other head.
Angle attack,
Yeah.
at times, if it just gets a little bit too much, it gives you the knuckleball effect.
Yeah.
If your angle attack is more the 3s and 4s rather
Yeah.
than the 5s and 6s, you'll probably get a little bit more forward momentum.
That makes more sense.
Because you can start to lose the efficiency a little bit when it's all.
Because obviously when you're pegging the ball up,
but you see there,
you think downwind, you think, oh,
angle attack there, 3-6 there.
yeah, it's not much. There's no difference.
No.
I'm just as happy with the TSI3.
What's your preferred grip? Just only
I
because
I don't
putting-
really have one as such. I mean, I quite like these, but I used to use the Lambkin Crossline.
Was there any reason why you've got a standard profile on that lofted wedge?
The lobbed. It's because I want it more on my fingers.
Thinner.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the answer I was expecting.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to clarify that was the
Absolutely.
reason why you've got a
Yeah.
different grip there.
Yeah, that's the only reason. It's just so that it's more in my fingers when I'm chipping.
Yeah. That's where we do agree. I can't stand when I'm chipping.
Thick grips.
I like it almost.
Well,
like a
you're
pen.
taking your hands out of play, which is
Yeah.
actually what you don't want. You actually want the hands in play.
It's interesting you say that because that's how I feel about it.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. That was a B2.
Yeah.
So so anyway, it's
Do you prefer the +4 on all the rest of the 4?
yeah, I do definitely. I
Yeah.
like the thicker right hand grip definitely.
Yeah, but just for that lob wedge, just to go a standard
Yeah,
profile.
just the standard one.
Any
yeah.
colour profile preferences?
No, none at all. It's just if it looks nice with the clubs, then
Dare I say it? I would. You know,
some of these
the
last
steel
better than
fibre
others.
shaft,
I mean,
the steel fibre shaft we changed. We the steel fibre
yes,
shaft.
it's grey, isn't it?
It's grey.
Yeah.
The grey
Yeah,
grey
fine.
grip would be
Yeah,
nice,
yeah.
nice
Abs-
looking,
yeah,
very
yeah.
neutral.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's run with that.
Yeah.
And then just drop a plain, let's say a plain white and. You tell me. Just for this lob wedge.
Yeah, yeah. Black and white, just
Black and white.
yeah.
Why not? Yeah. Thickness.
It's. I think that most of these have got just 2 layers on. 1 and a bit. It's usually 2.
Can you see one?
It used to be a lot more, but that may be
I
gone
can
back
see
to
one there.
Yeah. Oh well, that's. But the shaft.
The profile's thicker.
The thickness of that shaft is thicker anyway, so
Yeah.
it's just
a
the
little
way
bit
it
thicker,
works.
less taper in the.
Yeah, but to be honest, yeah, 1's fine, and then the +4 I quite like.
I think that's where the 1 layer on the
Yeah.
lofted wedge is
Yeah.
a little bit more of a story anyway.
Yeah. Right. It's fascinating listening
Well, I
to
hope
what
I've
you're
been-
saying.
I
Well,
hope
it's
I've
been
been
informative
helpful.
because the fact that I thought perhaps I might find woods that are going to be dramatic, big difference. I don't think they are going to be a big difference because at the end of the day, as I keep going back to, it's the idiot at the rubbery end. He's got to pick up some clubhead speed to launch it better. Technique.
I wouldn't be so
Technique
hard
as
on
well.
yourself.
No. I've already told you I'm my biggest critic. Yeah. So the fact is that that's what I need to be working on is technique, which is fair enough. I've got no problem with that. That's about right. It's just such a frustrating game at the best of times. But I think the irons may actually help me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I actually think
I think that was a nice change.
Well, it will be a good change, but the thing about it is that what I'm going to pick up is what I didn't get when I was fitted for these in the first place. I don't think that there was the options or the knowledge necessarily when I was fitted with these, which was just done at the golf club. Yeah, at the end of the day, that's fine for the average club golfer.
I can see you really, really, really enjoying those steel fibres.
Well,
because I think it offers a bit more
that's
stability
a big
at a
find.
weight.
I think that's a big find.
I think it helps to control the final build of it as well.
Yeah.
I think it's a little bit more robust. That's the good word. It's a little bit more robust than the Zelos.
Right. The Zelos, I certainly, when I was using the X to start with, I was into the wind in Portugal, and there was one tee shot in particular that I felt as though I'd hit decently. I may have been wrong, but and it sort of ballooned, and it cost me 2 shots, which when I consider I finished. Oh, I had a bad score that day, but I finished.
But you also mentioned that was when you had the X.
12th, yeah, but that was with the X.
Yeah.
So then I switched, and then I think that's made a big difference.
Yeah.
So, all in all, great stuff. Really great to meet you. It's fascinating. I mean, your knowledge is, second to none, really.
Oh, nice of you to say so.
But it's just interesting that, the thing is, whatever anyone says about fitting, there's an element of guesstimate. There has to be. You've got to go, I think that might, and let's just try. There has to be that. And without the spread of options.
We would be sort of superheroes if we could just grab a single shaft off the rack and go, there you go, that's that sorted.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is always this trial, and bear in mind, we're humans at the end of a stick.
Yeah.
And the feel element.
The problem is as well
is
is
factor.
How I'm swinging today. I go out, play the tournament next week, and I might be a different individual swing-wise. Clubhead speed, on the way back, how I stand to the ball. I mean, fortunately, I felt as though I was pretty much with it today. So subsequently, that's given you a much closer idea of me as an individual.
No, it's good.
Certainly
it's good.
with the irons anyway.
It's very transparent in the irons. That was the good news.
So the good thing is, whatever happens, I've got a set of irons that I think may even be better than what I've already had. And when I say maybe, I'm pretty certain they will be. So that's a genuine start. At the end of the day, it might be because I was using ping fairways for a long time, and but probably at too upright a setting. They were flatter.
Not on the new sleeve though.
Right. Well, but I didn't have the new sleeve.
Because that's interesting. Maybe for another day, but certainly with the new.
Come on now.
No, but with the new sleeve, they got a flat line now, which they never had before.
Which they never had before.
So that might get it away from you.
What I quite like
your
is
technique. For me, your technique could work with that profile, because it's shallower profile.
Well, it is, and also they tend to have a sharper leading edge. I always never do understand why you've got to have a. No, I do understand, because if you're slightly steeper into the ball, then a sharper leading edge is going to dig in. But for me, works really well.
You use the sole of the club.
Yes, I'm a sweeper.
Yeah, exactly.
And so, from that point of view, I always like to look to see if any of the fairways have a sharper leading edge, which would be way better for me.
Well, you're welcome anytime.
Thank you. I really do appreciate that.
And if you've got any notions or anything you want to test, you know where we are.
Well, the thing is, I've got to make it so that I'm down in the area because I just happen to be playing at Richmond on Sunday, Monday and Tuesday. So I thought, well, I'll come down tomorrow. I come down yesterday. I played a round of golf in zippy time. I'm lucky that I've got that opportunity to be able to play such a great course. But I'll certainly be very keen to follow up on maybe the idea of... I think what
we want to do next time is just a more concentrated aspect of the woods.
Yeah, I agree. And that becomes... You see, what we've done, we've done the irons today, brilliant. And that's been the main interest. The good thing is, that I think the rescue or the hybrid, I always call them rescues, I don't know why. But I think the hybrid's pretty good.
Yeah. I think that ties in as a number for you.
As a number. I think the 5 wood and the 3 wood can work. It's down to me as I'm swinging it, but I think there's definitely room for improvement there. I mean, I didn't know whether even the ping driver. The problem with the pings, I felt, were that they were much easier to hit and more forgiving.
Yeah, but you're probably.
But I don't need that.
You've got the hotter flight with what you've got.
Yes, which is perfect.
It's not, if it was a case of wanting to hone in on fairways more often, then the ping might be the better fit. Whereas what you've got is more of an optimised rollout element.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And I'm happy enough that perhaps just the change of ball. If I go out to Seychelles and Mauritius, I might well switch. It gets breezy there, but it's a hot wind, so it doesn't seem to hit the ball as badly. So it may be that actually I just switch ball for that week.
The X, if the fairways are soft, it's where the X stays in the air, maybe a little bit further for you.
Yeah, and this is sort of, I tried yesterday, X and D and a V1, and to be honest, one went absolutely ballistic, one drive, and then the other one did. Yeah, and I'm just thinking, that's just me. Normally what happens is I hit 4 drives with 4 different balls, and I could throw a blanket over the lot of them, sometimes with 2 different clubs. And you go, well, okay, pat yourself on the back.
That's what they call talent.
I'd rather one went a lot further. It makes the job a lot easier. But anyway, that's absolutely brilliant. Thank you very much indeed.
No problem. I'll have